your credits with your banks, or you will take from treasury. All three of them leading to a bit of and relates. Really large. Effort, integration effort.
Excel.
We already have, right? That's already GST and
Tapasya.
The base database for the cloud AWS or they're going to be fully company. Our data store can just be connected to
I got it, man. Thank you.
아니 의미의 번식하는 열감백
ಹೇಳು ಲೈಟ್ ಹಾಕಕ್ಕೆ
In our overall year, executive cluster, we have also monitored price. Price is called price, basically what is our payment flow. So as part of that, we had all this. And that comes with just basic ERP plus. Without that, very confusing, everything is
तो वही मैं बोल रहा था, देखो मेल आ गया। कल ही हम लोगों के साथ बात हुआ था ना सर, डिस्कस हुआ था।
CS already told you, you are getting data made, it will be implemented. It's simple data.
You didn't join?
हमारा नहीं,
But it's
Welcome to Beyond. This is an event organized by Clear. Some of you may still know us as Clear Tax. We have tried to change the name over a few years now, and we are formally known as Clear, but people still lovingly call us Clear Tax. And in the last couple of events, we've had people walking out asking, how are you related to Clear Tax? So I thought I'll clear that right at the start. It's so awesome for us to have all of you here in this room, especially on a Friday evening in Bangalore. So thank you for bearing the traffic, and welcome again. I'm Nakul Shinoy, and I head user experience for enterprise at Clear. And this is going to be an exciting evening. We have a ton load of things planned, but before that, let's pick on the word beyond. What do you think, what comes to mind when you think the word beyond? There are no right, wrong answers. Any answers are happily taken.
Infinity.
Infinity, that's a good take. Future. Future. It's like a mango, huh? Don't think of anything but the mango.
It's a future or the upcoming.
What is upcoming? Okay. Anything to add, sir? Endless, limitless, boundless. Outside the boundary. So, exactly, right? Beyond essentially means the unimaginable, different, futuristic, higher than normal, ever and above the ordinary, right? And that is the inspiration for these series of events. It's a series of curated events built by the finance leaders, run by the finance leaders in that sense. And the whole idea is to develop as a community to bring this kind of event across India. And we've sort of lost count, but I think in the last 6 odd months we've already done more than 30 events at least. I don't know if Vishnu can tell me the exact number. 30? Yeah, okay. So what is Beyond? It is essentially an event for talking about the future of finance, right? It is meant to be a knowledge sharing platform. It is about understanding the implications of digital transformation. And this can only be done hand in hand with the leaders of finance, which is why we say that you are coming into the room, one as participants, two as the thought sharers, and of course we have a very interesting keynote, we have a wonderful panel, and of course we have our own very special announcements to make towards the end of the evening. And we'll have some fun in between. Are we game? Come on, Bangalore, we can be slightly more keener on a Friday evening. There's at least a weekend to look forward to. So, enough talk. To sort of introduce Beyond and the idea behind it, let's watch this video.
The face of finance is changing rapidly. The demand from businesses to innovate is real, and CFOs are at the forefront of this transformation. This is a crucial juncture. The ability to drive transformation beyond the ordinary is what will mark the attribute of a modern CFO. Technology will be the force behind finance modernization. A fully automated digital operating model will be the key to delivering higher value to business, elevating finance beyond a business enabler to value generator. At Clear, we foresee how finance leaders will strive to build a cohesive environment, one where diverse finance functions will converge, one that will operate in real time, beyond the limits of imagination. We serve 4,000 plus enterprises, understanding their needs and aspirations every day. Our vision is to constantly catalyze the finance agenda. Come, join us at Beyond, where we host select, forward-thinking CFOs across industries as they network to share their best practices and transformation experiences that will help shape the future of finance.
Thank you so much again. Thanks for making time and joining us. And we're going to have an exciting evening. And please remember, this is about knowledge sharing. This is about networking. This is about catching up with each other. We will have, some sales guys around, etc. But that's not real intent of the event. But if you have any questions through the day, even afterwards, as you're enjoying a drink or dinner, please catch up with your questions. Even during the evening, we will have some open-ended question-answer sessions. We have our CTO here, we have our CFO here, we have our CPO here, so we have most of our leadership here. So, you will see them during the evening. Okay, so let's start with a poll, right? Because wonderful leaders are in the room. And before we sort of say, okay, here's what we have to share, we thought when we first did this event in Bangalore, roughly 5 months back, we said, let's first try and understand what is the mood of the people, right? And so we ran a few questions, which we will run by you. And funnily, it's sort of becoming predictive, which is helping us curate the events even better. But let us sort of see, let us weigh these questions with this group here and see where we go. You'll have to take out your phones for this, which I'm sure are on silent already, but take out your phones, open a browser, go to this website called menti.com, menti.com. You will find an input box there which asks for a code. Please enter 7448 9201. That's 7448 9201. And just to let us know you are there and you are set, press the big thumbs up icon that's there. So it's sort of in the corner here gives us the count that about 15 of you are already in the room. I mean the virtual room, we know you're here in this room. 22. That's 30. It's also a good way to know how many people are in there. Sort of tapering at 37. Usually roughly 50 at least. So if somebody is still catching up and finally saying, okay, so many people have joined, let me now take out my phone. It's menti.com. Go there and enter 7448 9201. And I think we are ready to start. So that's about 45 people who joined in just now. Again, please take out your phones and join. That should take us to the 50. Awesome. So it's simple. In a moment, you're going to see a question, right? And you will see the same question, one on the screen here and two on your phones, on your devices. You will have certain options. You just need to select what resonates best with you. Yeah. It's likely live, so let's see how this goes. Okay, let's take the first question. Which one of these stand true in your current finance transformation journey? Sort of where are you? Digitizing, optimizing, or digitalizing? So I think we saw about 48 when we came to the screen. So that was roughly our benchmark. You will see the same options on your phone. So that's digitizing as the first one, optimizing is the second, digitalizing digitalizing is the third. If you need further explanation as to what they are, that's right under it. We are a little over halfway. And just crossed 40. A few of you, a sizable percentage, has talked about and still sort of choosing digitizing there, which is sort of taking a lead over optimizing. But very clearly the mood of the room is about building digitally transformed processes end-to-end with connected platforms. This is a problem that has existed, sort of continues to exist, and in our minds we really somewhere deep inside think it will exist, right? Because we have all at some point tried to integrate softwares, and I think some of us get slight nightmares perhaps with the word integrate. But this has been the mode. This is exactly the thing. This has been the mode of all our, actually EP carried a story just a couple of days back on these polls. So I hope the question paper was not leaked to you because of that article. But this is what it was. CFOs across India are grappling with digitalizing in that sense, and that is where we also see a lot of spend going in this year and the next year. Let's go on to the next one. What would be the single biggest change you would want from digital transformation in finance? Single source of data, efficiencies in cost, adding to the bottom line, reducing risk, increasing compliance, finance team work-life balance. Where, coming from a design side, I always look like somebody's gonna go, a lot of them are gonna go for that last option, but I guess finance guys are made slightly differently, right, Samitji? It's always, we think that is gonna get the highest votes. It sort of creeps up as the tail end adds in, but never really goes too high. Very clearly, there's one winner here, single source of data, or rather perhaps one source of truth, right? That's essentially what it is. It could be an ERP, it could be different product lines that you're looking at, it could be your own home-bred solution. The one thing we always grapple with is the point of having one source of truth, right? And that's what we hear every time we talk to customers, every time we talk to CFOs. Every time we're trying to say, we have these solutions, they're like, okay, but where is my truth? Is it in the ERP? Is it in your system? And will they both talk the same language? Okay, 30. It's still going up. I think the number of people joined suddenly were interested in the question. We have 52 answers. Awesomeness. Let's go to the next one. What are the top challenges to implement digital transformation of the finance function? Now, there are no options here. You would see a small box on your screen. You should be able to put in one word or two words or multiple even if it allows you. Whatever is the words you enter will sort of make a mind map. You could either look at the words people are sort of ahead of you have put, or you can just type in whatever is that one couple of words that are coming to mind that signify what is the topmost challenge to implement digital transformation. Sometimes the app allows you to enter more, so if it is allowing you, please go ahead and enter more. Well, two of the biggest answers here, right? The size of the words and where they stay on the screen is determined by how many people are sort of putting in something similar to that. It's interesting, right? It's resistance to change. Then you all heard that change is the most difficult thing to do. And we actually got two of the biggest things being resistance to change and resistance by itself. Now, I don't know what just resistance by itself could mean, but I would take it essentially meaning resistance to change. And again, there is change management, there is the whole thing of the mindset. That's the four big words I'm seeing on the screen. Alongside, you're seeing the normal things about having a sustainable solution. You're seeing things around the database things, Process changes again I would link it to change. Thought process changes, paradigm shifts. Different words, all sort of leading into the same thing, right? Why are we like this? What is perhaps the primary reason for so much resistance? Any takers for a quick answer?
Fear.
Fear of what, sir?
Fear of losing control.
Fear of losing control, fear of losing jobs, and perhaps losing data, right? Fantastic. I think we have a couple of more. Let's go ahead. Okay. Has your finance transformation strategy factored the need to integrate both internal and external parties? Yes. Not yet. Don't need to. So you could still join. You could go to menti.com and enter that code, and then you'll be able to answer. Otherwise, you could join the next. Just a poll to understand what the room is thinking. So we seem to sort of taper around the not yet and the yes. We have still 12 odd votes to come in. This could go either way. This is like an India-Pakistan match. Has your finance transformation strategy factored the need to integrate both internal and external parties? So there are a lot of people that are saying yes, and there are an almost equal number of people that are saying not yet. There are very few that are saying don't need to. So we are on two sides of this. We are either on the side where we have taken this journey, perhaps facing some challenges, or perhaps it's all hunky-dory, we have succeeded, right? Or we have clearly identified that this is what we need to do, but we are getting there. All those in point 2, please raise your hands. We'll take your numbers. No, I'm kidding. Let's go to the next one. What is the decision pivot to select a technology partner? What is the primary thing that's playing in your mind when you're selecting a technology partner? Is it the lowest bidder meeting my current tactical needs? Is it superior capabilities that matter in the long term? It's okay to pay a premium. Or significant ROI, even if the bid is high. Or perhaps you're not sure about this whole thing. Lowest bidder and not sure. I was just about to say lowest bidder and not sure or feeling left out. So again, I think the answers sort of, the two answers are sort of related, right? So superior capabilities that matter in the long run, it's okay to pay a premium, it's definitely not the lowest bidder, etc., etc. It is capabilities that the technology partner, that we are really saying partner, who can work with you in the long run and take things forward. And I think very linked to that, just the flip side, is the return on investment. So again, the bid is not, so the lower bid or the higher bid is not so much of a problem as much as what is my ROI going to be on this? Again, I think now it's slightly easier for me to just reference the ET article that came out based on this, and you would see you were predicted, these answers are predicted by ET a couple of days back, right? So I mean, just linking it back to what we started with, this is sort of in line with what all finance leaders across India are thinking of. And that's exciting for us because that means the wonderful event we have planned for you today is spot on, right? We have industry experts, top CFOs coming in here today also to give us share their experiences as a keynote, and we have a very interesting discussion panel that's going to talk about various challenges that they have faced. We'll get there very soon. Are we done with this? Is there one more question after this? Can we go to the next slide? Yes, I think I was right. So thank you so much for sharing your inputs. We have been collating this data, and we will continue to like this. And thanks a lot for those hearts at the end of it. I think Insta is really making a difference to our lives. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and let's get started. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our keynote speaker, Mr. Manoj Agrawal, the CFO of BL Kashyap and Sons Limited, which is a private limited company listed on both NSE and BSE. He heads the finance and taxation pan-India at BL Kashyap and Sons. Interesting journey. He was a science biology graduate who decided, science is perhaps too boring for me, and took on and became a CA in 2002. Did his MBA in finance from Symbiosis and has over 2 decades of experience across accounts, finance, taxation, banking, costing, and budgeting. Manoj will share his challenges and experiences from these 20 years where the company grew from just one single location to multiple locations across many states. Of special interest for this group would be some of his experiences across technological upgradation, including introducing ERP systems and the learnings and actions formulated around it. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Manoj Agrawal.
Friends, and welcome all of you at the platform of Media Tech. And I especially thank to these part and this part that they have given us the opportunity to stand in front of top CFOs are before me, and it's an opportunity given to us. That I thought I will complete my presentation in such a way what experience I have in my own career for 2 decades. I have completed my CS in 2002. After that, I have joined. I'll just tell you little bit my background. Joined a construction company, and since 2002, I am working in a construction company only. So, construction company is basically a service industry plus labor-oriented industry. So, it is very difficult for us to transform everything from manual to digitization during these periods. So I'll just take you slide one by one, how it is we have done. So the role of CFO is becoming more complex than ever. So if you see the CFO's role, if you go for 2 decades before when I was there in company, the CFOs were just like a traditional accountant, and whose job basically was whatever happened has to report and compliance. This all has been transformed and this digitization has been done. Now the role of the CFO is completely changed, and the role of CFO still is finance and account department to look after, but the focus of CFO is going towards critical areas and various new value addition and various new things to be done. If you talk about the future value, if you talk about the next wave of CFOs, how next wave of CFOs is there. So total scenario of CFOs and the dashboard of CFOs is totally changed. The dashboard of CFOs is today is not only what we have done, is totally changed. The dashboard of CFO to look after the investor parameters, look after the stakeholders, look after the investor management, look after ratios where the CFOs what they are getting, what is their ratios, what is their margin, and they are parallelly in with CEOs. Earlier what CFOs were doing, basically they are doing more balance sheet and other things was closing, but today they are shoulder to shoulder working with the CEOs, and basically the business development, creating a value, this is what the role of CFOs today. What transformation I have done in my company since last 20 years, I just explain you. This is just a analysis done by some analysts. 73% of basically a digitization in finance. The digitization of finance majorly for large company has been done, but digitization of finance basically the small and medium company is still behind it. They basically need the digitization. as of now. I'll just take you to so I'll tell you how the digitization I have done in my company. Construction company is totally a labor-oriented company, and labor-oriented company is very difficult to understand them how to digitize them has to happen. What we have done, we came up first. The labor attendance was happening via manual. Then we came up for thumb impression, biometric, and from biometric we have converted into a face reading. There were challenges with us during this period, but we have saved lot of money from manual attendance to attendance to face reading. So once we have start face reading, all pilferage was zero, and every labor which was outside was working, and as and when they are going, the face reading has to happen in and out in both cases. And how the digitization has converted whatever the software SAS we have taken on that is integrated with my ERP, and automatically all payroll is converted to their bases and converted reaching to the finance department. So first for labor, this was very difficult which we have done in our company. The second digitalization what we have done for staff. What is happening normally, we have across India around 40 to 50 projects. So all 40-50 projects to correlate the data and keeping all in and out of the staff. It was very difficult. Earlier we were doing by manual and sending to a mail by Excel and other more. Now we have totally changed and transformed into a new system. This is called a Zing HR. Most of the companies may be using Zing HR. We are using that is on location based. Suppose my every project 100 people is working. So that 100 projects, their attendance I have put based on that location. So location we have defined based on the project. Suppose their project is 200 diameter. So once they reach within the 200, then they can punch it. And as and when they are going out, they have to do punch out. So this is what the second thing we have done. The third thing what we have done is very interesting, especially for a construction. So what is happening in construction, whenever we are doing for any project, we are getting a drawing, GFC drawing, good for construction. Based on we are doing construction. What was happening, my team of planning has to do on physical work and put all one by column and all everything into a Excel sheet. Then we are getting a compiled data, how much quantities, what are happening. Now the things what we have done, we have taken a BIM. So BIMS, that is called as BIMS, Building Information Management, that is a software. So what BIMS has done, once you have put in all your drawing into a BIMS, the model has been prepared. That model is automatically converting everything into a quantities. So we are getting all the quantities, either for concrete, steel, you have block, plaster, tiling. These are the increasing cumulatives coming, how much this project is required. So based on that data, we have an experience where we are removing all the pilferage. So there is no pilferage is there. We have all RICO is available on that. So BIMS, we have got a lot of benefit on that. BIMS basically nowadays, I don't know how much is from construction industries or architectural or engineering. Basically BIMS being used by the construction, engineering and architecturing or basically a developer. These are the companies major chunk using for BIMS. As well as what we have done from, if you go for finance department, what the benefit for finance department is happening. Earlier finance department and account department was totally busy for reconciliation and wasting of time in different. Now the situation is that everything is collaborating and coming to a single sheet and everything is reconciling what we have done in extension and what we have built to the client. So this is what whole system has been changed in last 2 decades. So in ERP we came us in 2008. In BIMS we came in 2016-17. And in Zing HR we came for 2018-19. So as and when the technology is coming, we will keep changing and using that technology and reducing our man-hour as well as saving up a lot of cost on this. So these are the basically 3-4 criteria. Apart from that, we were using earlier for account software is different, which were own manufactured. Now we have shifted to ERP. So ERP, when we have shifted, so ERP is integrated with everything. So whatever we have to do related with either banking payments, either we have to do for supplier payments, either we have to do accounts payable, either we have to do as a CFO all the analysis is what on my dashboard was everything. So what is happening earlier when we have to do own exercise. So we were not able to advise, or we were not able to part of strategy where we can advise to the CEO or the promoters where we are wrong. So today the scenario is that when everything is there and my routine risk or my other issues which were coming during audit and all is totally abolished. So we are into a platform now, we are able to advise to the promoters, to the CEO for as a business leader, and we can advise how to go ahead, what are the investors, where have to meet, what are our balance sheet, what are the ratios and all, how to go ahead. So we are now parallelly soldier working with CEOs. So this is what the total transformation we have done last 20 years since 2002 to 2020. So this is basically key imperative for a digitization finance function. Right, so this is basically, we have connected finance function, real-time operation, hyper-automation, zero-touch process, advanced finance function. So if you go for connected finance function, break silos, create digital continuum, shared finance API. So breaking of process and operation silos among finance function, handshake of interconnected process between finance team and common mission across team to achieve finance goal. So this is real-time operation now. So once 100% digitization is done, so we have everything real-time. I'll just tell you the example of banking. So we were facing earlier payments for banking when we have to go to the bank, we have to send a mail and bank people are giving. Now bank software is integrated with ERP. So one integrated is ERP, so we have all my accounts payable to be paid. Right, so we have a list of accounts payable on the due dates. On the due dates, how account payable has been paid, we have to one click and amount is being paid to the accounts payable or wherever they have to go. So this is real swift linearity and interdepartmental transfer, tool-based reconciliation, real-time payment decision, always on analytic and report and more. So finance department today is what team we have as of now. They are doing, instead of the others, they are doing all their own analysis. So based on that analysis, they are just all their expenses, which were whatever the bottleneck is getting reduced now, and we are just improving day by day and getting the quality of report. This is basically zero-touch process, level self-serve zero-touch process, intelligent system with run-based decision-making, self-service for consumer of finance data inside, L1, L2 support automation through chatbot. So this chatbot, I don't know how many are from IT industries. Today IT industry has totally digitized their system. Now IT industry has moved to a next level of digitization. So next level of digitization is called a chatbot. So today's scenario is there that the IT companies which we are doing slowly percolating to the large company. In this, I'll just let you know the example of this. L&T Finance came up with one portal, right? Supply chain portal. So what they have done in supply chain portal, so they have all vendor base is available, right, or supplier base is available. So if they have a process for registration of that into a system. Once you register, so mid cap and small cap, what was the problem was coming sometimes? Suppose they have to buy the material and they do not have a funding in time. So supply management business process, what they have done, they have added the NBFCs and banks and their own financing team. How the process is there, if you have to get a credit for 15 days, 30 days or 45 days, you can go based on their rates and all. So that model basically we have done that is called a supply chain. Now the issue is there, they have done, but whatever the small and medium enterprises, still they have to do the digitization. Till they are not doing digitization, that is not possible at across level. Increase focus on improving marketing through advanced technology adoption. So these are basically the example where blockchain, basic treasury and finance, loyalty management, warranty management, P2P, O2C, cross-border payment, and advanced analytics for reduce finance delivery cost, improve forecasting. AI, artificial intelligence, normally a chartered accounting is using now. This audit quality, consistency and fraud reduction. So drive the next wave of transformation. So next wave of transformation. Now the situation is coming the finance department, which got limited to the finance and the financial. Now the finance department is going to be a data steward now. That is a next wave of transmission. And next wave of transmission for CFOs. For CFO is what? The CFO is now towards is implementing for a business strategy, and they are going to be a part of business efficiency increase and creating a value where business are improving. So this is next level of financing. Now the CFOs are meeting with the investors. This is what a part is next level of financing. Transformation, and the CFO is basically looking after all stakeholders state. So this is what we have in next wave of transformation. So this is what, if anything is there, we have an experience of construction, anything is from construction, I am okay to answer everything or anything else you want to ask.
Thank you so much, Anuj. We can take one or two questions in the interest of time. There's a question right there. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
My name is Muktesh Jain and I am from Manipal Hospitals.
Yes, sir.
My question is, initially you mentioned that you have arranged a best recognition in the sites for the workers.
Yes, sir.
As per my understanding, the workers who are working at the construction site. A lot of time they are not regular customers. There can be changes on account of absences.
Yes.
So how are we managing those things on day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So what we are doing we have our system. Any labor is coming, has to have a first entry has to happen of that labor. So we have a set parameter. Set parameter is that he has to have their bank account. He has to have their Aadhaar card. From which place he has migrated to Bangalore, has to have their migration card. These are the 3-4 parameters we first ask him with the labor. Based on that, we are doing a registration. I'll tell you, we have altogether in our project around 10,000 labor across India. Out of 10,000 labor, more than 4,000 labor is going every quarter. More than 4,000. Not a single one. And you can say every day maybe 400 or 500 labor is going. So what, see, labor basically is coming from West Bengal, Bihar and other places. So what they are doing, they are taking a labor here for 52 days or 53 days, something like that. So but we have our full proof system, right? If these are the things is available with the labor, then only we are going to entry to the site. Otherwise, we are not allowed. So these are the three parameters there. If by chance they do not have a bank account, then we tie up with the one bank, and that bank is making an account immediately based on the Aadhaar card. If Aadhaar card is not there, then we are not liable. This is what.
There's another question from him.
This is Vineet here. I have my question. I didn't in the whole part of the presentation. I don't know if you cover this or not. Like, is your solution customizable or you have only fixed model? And my second part of the question is because we have some problem where, let's say, you have to do some claim settlement using multiple parties, right? You need a workflow where it moves to multiple entities. Like, do you have any solutions like that?
I didn't get this. Why?
So, for example, you have a claim settlement process. Right? In the claim settlement process, there are multiple parties where you have to do some workflows. Right? The data has to move between multiple parties. Does your solution address that?
See, claim settle process is basically you want any dispute claim settle or normal claim settle. So normal claim settle, basically we have a system where what is happening, we have around 1,000 contractors are working with us, right? So on a monthly basis, they are
Thank you again, Mr. Manoj. That was very insightful. I'm sure I saw a lot of hands going up there, so a lot of people are going to come and ask you more questions. Before we go ahead to the second part of the evening, where some of the questions that I heard here would actually be picked up also during the panel. So that's why I asked Dinesh, because the question he asked would fit in, I think, to some of the answers that you're going to hear in the panel. Now, before we get that, let's have some fun. We really appreciate all of you making time and coming here. I've been saying this repeatedly. So we said let's give out a nice award for somebody, right? But you have to earn it. Are you ready? I don't worry, I'm not one of the traditional MCs who will call you on stage and ask you to do stupid things. Okay? We're going to run a quiz. Okay? A quiz that's just 8 questions. So if I can again ask you to take out your phones and let's have the quiz going. Go to menti.com for me, please, again. And if it's the earlier window, you'll have to refresh and you'll have to enter a new code. The code that you have to enter now on menti.com is 5937 9069. 5937 9069. And we will wait for that number to hit upwards of 50 before we go forward. Now what you need to remember when the quiz starts is not just that your answer is correct. It's also that you get real bonus points to who answers quicker, right? The mechanism built in there, not ours sadly, is already going to take into account and give you extra marks for answering right very early, okay? That's 36, 37. We are almost at 50. So, and remember the question, the time between the question popping up on the screen and on your phones and the time to answer for it is just 15 seconds. Right? 15. It's a long time. That will suddenly feel very, very dwindling once you're trying to answer. So ready? Okay. That was ominous. The back. And we are at 50 right there. Okay. So a couple of you are still waiting and saying, no, this is not for me. Please come on. Take out your phones. Go to menti.com, 5937 9069 and click the heart button. Remember Instagram. Click heart. That tells us how many are there. And now I think we are more to the number of people in the room. We're hitting 70. And let's go to the first question. Can we go to the first question? Okay, before we get there, you have these cute or perhaps not, emoticons assigned to you randomly. But you will see that you have also some weird names that are assigned to you, right? So rather than some smugly or whoever won the quiz last time, we would like to know who actually won it. So feel free to go and change the name there from the randomly associated name to your own. Remember to add an initial. We might have a lot of others in the room who are with the same name. There are only 75 avatars shown, and we have 76. That's 78 people. That's awesome. Broke the truth. Okay, so if you have typed in your name and you are set, let's go ahead. First question. Answer fast to get more points. Remember that. What is the exact number of tax slabs under GST in India? 7, 5, or 8? No cheating, no peeking. 7, 5, or 8? Those who answer this wrong are going to be sent out of the room. I'm kidding. Time's up. Whoa. This was for CFOs, right? Okay, so only 22 of you got the answer right, and that's 7. And not 5, which 42 people got it as wrong, and yeah, definitely not 8. Are we in the mood for this now? Yeah, this works. Okay, let's go to the second question. That's suspense building. 2020-30 is the decade of what? Decade of action, UN decade on ecosystem restoration, partner ecosystem, both B and C. Wow, answers came in really fast. Now we flipped it. Okay, so 52 of you got this right. Both B and C is the correct answer. Interesting. So most of you got the first question wrong, got this one right. Let's go on to the next one. And question 3, again remember, the faster you answer correctly, you get more points. What is the word of the year 2022 as declared by the Collins Dictionary? Is it metaverse, gaslighting, permacrisis, goblin mode? 8 seconds remaining. 5, 4. Time's up. Metaverse sounds cool. Only 10 got permacrisis. Okay, fourth question now. And the question comes up. Does supply and transmission of electricity fall under the scope of GST? Yes, no, not sure, yes, but exempt. And the time is up. 40 said no. We really need to look at that guess list. Only 19 of you got this right. Okay, now we are at 4 questions. We have a total of 8. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to quickly see halfway through the quiz who is leading. That's a cool animation right there. And they're quite close. So Jai Kumar and Jagadish K. Can you raise your hands? Jagadish, Jai Kumar, and Tom. I'm sure is Tom somebody who did not change their name, or is there a Tom in the room? Yeah, okay. I sort of thought. And Swati. Swati? Awesome. And there is, so this is quite tight, right, for the first position. And there will be 4 more questions pretty soon, and whoever comes first will get our hamper, right? Not the Karan Johar hamper, but this hamper.
Sorry, question.
Yes, sir.
Previous answer, you should check that.
Quiz master?
I leave it there.
Quiz master? Need to check the earlier question.
It's an incorrect answer.
Okay. He would know. He would know. Yeah. Okay, I think that sets us up. I will take a couple of minutes to set up the chairs on stage, but this brings us to our fantastic panel, right? They're all sitting together, warming up even before they're coming up on stage. This is going to be on finance forward. It's about upskilling teams, enriching processes, and converting opportunities. Joining us for this today is Mr. Sandeep UP, the CFO of SAP India, Tuhin Basu, VP and Business CFO of Reliance Industries, Praveen Kumar M, VP and Head, Emphasis, Sharad Kaitan, VP Finance of Act Fibernet, and Mr. Pratik Gupta, AVP Finance, Manipal Hospitals. This is going to be moderated by our very own Vishnu Iruvanti, the CPO of Clear. If I may ask, Mr. Sandeep. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to our panel.
Welcome to all of you here. Thanks for taking time on Friday evening session. I will not waste too much time. So I was like trying to see, what can be a joke we can start, and they Google tells me that CFOs don't take jokes, right? So it prompted me one question that it said, if your account is supposed to be out of debt, how do you do that? If your account, whatever business you are running is supposed to be out of debt, how do you do that? If you were to ask a CFO that question, what is the likely answer they will give? Don't trust Google, that's a good one. Come on. Use ChatGPT. That's a very good answer. Our CTO will be delighted. Varan, this is the natural segue for you. Any other questions? So the ideal answer what Google recommended was CFO will say the better the company act according to their pages. So it is that straight. With that note, we will start on our questions. So the first question to you, Mr. Sandeep, relevant to the topic, in what we have seen earlier in the questions as well, or the poll what we have taken, if digitization, change of mindset is the need of the hour, how does finance teams transform themselves in terms of skills, in terms of will, and in terms of changing mindsets, right, to adopt to this change, what is happening in the world at this point of time, or the change what you want to drive in your organization? Yes.
Mindset.
I think try the yeah.
So the presentation sort of came out with a lot of things. One, I think the question was on skills, right?
Right.
Yeah. So there are a lot of things that came out, and if you see typically today when we talk about skills, it's not about efficiency. It is more about effectiveness. In fact, there was a survey which was done I think last year, which said that within the next 5 years, every job in the finance function is going to change, which means we have to adopt to the change. So for me, when you talk about skills in the past, they used to say that when you talk about skills, there are two sets. One is technical skill, one is not technical skill. But today, technology itself is integrated into our day-to-day life. There is nothing called as not technical skill. It's just that technical and soft skills. So I would rather focus more on the soft skills part. So for me, strategic thinking, problem-solving approach, those are the kind of skills that I would look for today. Whereas your core financial skill set is anyway required. But we should focus not on the soft skills. Otherwise, I think you just become redundant too soon. If you stick to your age-old traditional method of working, I think you are just not required in my work.
Well said, sir. Thank you so much. Mr. Tuhin, as just now Mr. Sandeep has pointed out, if the jobs are to change or transform into something very different in the today's era, what are the key things or key takeaways from talent perspective when you are either upskilling him or hiring him? You would look for very different in terms of enabling your team to be more successful for the organization.
And so I'll break the answer into two parts. One is in the context of digitalization, and the second is the context of the expectation from the finance role also changing. So if you look at the former piece, it's very, very important that the finance function today does not staff people only with finance background. I think that would be a complete recipe for disaster, because it's you're kind of fermenting in your own thoughts. And it's very, very important to have data scientists, to have people with techno-commercial knowledge of that domain. And the third piece, which is extremely important, that you get people who are extremely fungible from an analytics skill set. Because it's not enough to know taxation, it's not enough to know law and all of that, because there the expertise can be higher, and you most of the times anyway rely on external counsel in these topics. And that's the reason to how to process that, how to translate that into economics is going to be a very, very critical element. And that's where the other skill sets are far more important. And I couldn't agree more with Sandeep when he spoke about, the softer skills. Now it is going to be more and more, those become the hard skills, given the relevance of it. And if I look at the second, which is the expectation of finance. See, finance or CFO has been, historically it's been in a very dry profession. It's been bookkeeping, record keeping, facts and figures and all of that. And that is undergoing a change. They are the primary face for stakeholders, internal or external, and they are also conscience speakers. And unless they cannot do their job if they do not understand the business enough. And it is extremely important that finance shun their generic tag and they become specialists for the sectors they belong to. Otherwise, the strategic partnership would just not work.
Fantastic. Well said. Thank you. Mr. Praveen, as a natural segue from where Mr. Tuhin is left, earlier the CA was the #1 qualification for a finance profession. If the technology elements like data science, analytical thinking, etc. supersede the financial thinking, or it is on par for your business to be succeeding in whatever they do, then how do you think the mix of talent should change? And do you mean, say, tomorrow technologist or a data science person will supersede the CFO role, or will see more of engineers taking over that as a function?
See the now. You see the 10-year prior. More of maybe chartered accountants or MBA finance, those kind of base used to be in finance fields. Now I see people changing their profession once they complete their BE. They feel that there is nothing for them to do there. They move to finance. I have seen many of the CVs which have come for interviews. And the core thing within that is that they are more of techno-functional, like you mentioned. We can use them in the areas where we need to automate. Because generally what used to happen previously is that finances are like, we are used to this debit credit kind of things. And if you want to bring in some new change over there, it is only those second category which comes in and they'll be able to do some sort of a change in it. The understanding will be able to visualize in a different way altogether. It's like Bangalore Park. You have traditional old people, the cops, same cops, everything is there. Unless they try to bring a new person into the thing, you will not be able to see any change. And similar thing is happening in finance also. I see, I have not gone to the extent of data analyst or data scientist coming into finance, but you can see the change happening from the traditional CAT to the new engineering background guys. Or I have seen even people coming from the B schools who are now the one-down reporters of CFOs or CFO office or CEO office. They come with a different mindset altogether.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. As a natural segue, again, looking at the room, there are like very young folks, the folks who are like trying to get into the CFO shoes, etc. and all that. Given that the career architecture framework, what traditionally the companies have said is changing, how do you see the new skill development for people who want to transition to the next level, and the people who have just come into the market, into the world, thinking that the world's not going to change, they're going to be safe and secure, and they're hearing the technology is going to disrupt, etc. How do they, in a skill perspective and also on a day-to-day perspective, change and adapt to this change?
I'll start with an example. When I was doing my articleship, if a trial balance used to get tallied, I used to do a lot of sugar mill audits. तो क्लाइंट या ऑडिटी जो था सिंघाड़ा और जलेबी खिलाता था कि आज ट्रायल बैलेंस टैली हो गई. So now we have all ERPs actually. So it is taken for granted that a trial balance will tally actually. So I don't see finance as just a debit or a credit actually. It's a very basic mundane job. You can even have bots and very normal BCom guys who can do that debit and credit. It's an SOP you write, that was expense account debit, these are what you have to do debit, this is what you have to do credit, and vendor payments also you can automate very well in the system actually. So I see finance as something more than a normal debit and credit actually. So what is normal debit and more than normal and debit and credit? Finance is all about money actually. अगर धंधा चलेगा तब accounting चलेगा. I am into very simple logic actually. So if I have a subscriber, if I have a customer who is giving me money, then he is paying me my salary actually. So just the debit and credit don't serve in today's scenario actually. We have to go beyond our normal debit and credits because that is outdated and very mundane actually. I am not at once for saying that the basic controls of finance, for example, of physical verification, and we were discussing when we were coming here, those things should not be compromised. But that is just one small segment or a subset of what we are doing actually. It's a high time we learn how to communicate, how we learn to put our ideas forward to various stakeholders, whether it's the investors, whether it's our counterparts, and work very closely with them actually. Till they don't see a value addition which the finance guy is bringing in, it's very difficult to survive actually. I'll give a classic example. If I have to negotiate for a IT SaaS for example, I'm not a technical guy actually. But I can do a lot of value addition when I am dealing with a SaaS vendor. For example, I can have the terms and conditions corrected. I can have a payment schedule corrected. I can think of terms and conditions of license fee, minimum guarantee. All of that can be very well played by a finance guy, which the technical guy may not be able to do because that's not his domain or forte actually. So if you add value, if you put the right communication, I think that are the two very critical aspects which any finance guy and the budding chartered accountant, all finance guys should definitely have. One more thing is today we have a lot of data. Whichever industry we go, whichever company we go, how to make that data into information and how to drive information into a business insight. That is very critical. Just by putting up an Excel sheet which has got 1 lakh rows, I don't think so that serves any purpose now. People need something, a small dashboard which clearly captures what you intend to say and where things are going right or where things are going wrong. So putting that red flag is very critical. So communication and data analytics are and of course business partnering, three aspects any finance guy should definitely look for to make a career and an impactful career in any organization.
Well said, thank you. Mr. Pratik, for you, again, similar kind of a question, right? Since you are from hospitals, etc., like, let's take the old traditional, right? What will happen if the finance function does not transform to adopting technology? What worse can happen, right, in terms of career perspective for somebody? I'm hoping that you will give a positive spin on that in terms of, like, because there should be room for everyone, right?
Yeah. So, as you rightly said, I represent the hospital and we touch lives daily, right? So, there is a transformation on the lives which happens, but as a finance professional, there is something which is on the basics, which cannot be changed. Again, we said about the traditional thing. So, a bookkeeping has to be done, right? Now, the only change which happens is earlier we used to have old registers, if you remember. I don't know, some people can recall of that, right? Then we come to our Microsoft Excel, right? Which is again a part and parcel of all the finance guys' jobs. And now we have an ERP, right? And what Sharat said, that the best part is the TV has to match. So in those registers, yes, there was a celebration when TV matches. But today, at least those basic traditions are still there. You cannot create a balance sheet without a TV is matched, right? So as a person or as a finance professional, definitely your traditions has to be there, but you have to upgrade yourself as per the requirements. You cannot continue doing all the old activities, right? And see what today with this budget speech also, right? Our finance minister clearly said that you put up a data in one place and we are making a scenario where the same data can be used at other places, right? So that is something which is very much required. But as a traditional part, I will again say as a finance guy, you should not work for today. Because I also represent a tax department which is like you have to work for 8 years of assessment. So today what you look correct has to be assessed by someone else. So for a finance professional, it has to be something which is coming today as a traditional approach. But you have to do all your data analytics right upfront. And again, I take your example itself. If you allow me, from clear tax you became clear, right? So you also got the reference that tax is not the only thing which is available. You have to come to the basics of finance. And that will give you more insight about what you are doing. And just adding up to what other people all said, that a finance person has to have a business acumen. You cannot do whatever that he is picking up right or wrong, right? Because he has to think to what is the business about. So there is a mixture now between a traditional approach of a finance guy versus a modern approach of a CEO.
Thank you. Just to add up what Pratik has said, 8 years if assessments are completed, there is nothing I don't know when you will get subject.
Exactly. So that is why you have to be ready for the data for the future use.
That's great. From a betting of reconciliations to be right to a prediction model getting right 100% year on year for next 8 years is a long way to go, and hopefully the technology has many more solves like that.
So that is why we are fit for the cloud version. So
Yeah,
we don't have to get data, at least someone else.
That's why we are here too. And Parant will explain sometime what magic he has created and his team has created. So coming back to this, right, there's a triangulation what we are hearing continuously. At the epicenter, there's a technology revolution or an evolution which is inevitable. And there is business which needs to be balanced by finance which is balancing with cash. Right? So, or entire books of accounts, etc. Now, with this triangulation, what do you think are quintessential need for finance functions as tools and combinations to be successful for tomorrow?
Yeah. So for me, we might talk about maybe 2-3 things. One, we saw in the presentation also, we saw you talking about that. Data-based decision making. So today, there is a lot of data, but how much of data we are using? And one of the recent partner survey was done, most of the finance decision makers told that they are not dealing with data as much as they should use. There is no data aggregation, there is no data analytics, which means they are not being able to take a decision, which means they are not able to think efficiently in this case. So for me, number one, data-based decision making, again, that should go on real-time data, because if you give the data after like 6 months, 1 year, it doesn't give a purpose. That's what you have. Today with all the technologies we see, all the analytics available on the phone itself. So that is number one for me. The second one, finance-related apps. We see a lot of microservice providers, a lot of smaller companies also coming out with solutions which can integrate with the ERP itself. So which means we can come out with a lot of solutions which is easily accessible than just doing the traditional method. The classic example would be is cloud-based expenses report, for example, on your mobile phone you can just do it. Then traditional voucher, we are doing it somebody for approval, see the payment department, wait for it. So that is second. And third one, I think we will more and more move to the touchless transactions. Again, I saw that in the reference here. So as we progress, as technology progresses, we see all these day-to-day activities, which is all the transactional jobs just going on. To be the O2C, P2P, R2, or whatever we call, it will all move to machines. I think these are the reasons for me which is very important from a finance function which you are proposing, or which you have.
So, thanks. So, I think, as Sandeep said, all of these things have to account for. There has to be cash available for finance to go through this transformation. How do you think that today's finance function will be able to fund these transformations? And what are the tools and applications are absolutely essential for you, or do you want to standard and right? Like, will you invest in quintessential ones, or will you invest at once? How do you plan to do it?
So, I mean, see, the investment cycle, at least this is something which I strongly believe that the investment cycle has to begin before you need it. Otherwise, you are always playing catch up. And if I look at the investment in digital tools or digitalization and data, anything which adds to your bottom line, you can do an ROI and you should get it done now. I'll give an example. So in my previous job before I joined Siemens, before I joined Reliance, I was in Siemens, and we would sell power generation products or islands, and it was impossible for us to get at times the right, let's say, mesh of solution to be sold to an end customer. And it was iterative, it was cumbersome, and also error-prone. And this is Siemens, which have been doing this for, I don't know, maybe at least 5 decades, if not more. And there was a switch which we did. We invested, I don't know how many $1 million. And the switch was that all of it went to a data lake where even as a CFO, I would be able to see that in which pressure conditions, which city, which power condition, what scheme this, that, what could be an implication or a potential pricing which can work for the utility. All that millions of dollars were recovered in no time because we improved the profitability of that product in 2 years. And these are products which are sold of hundreds of millions or tens of millions of dollars. We improved the profitability of that by 200 basis points in 2.5 years. And that, when you multiply $200 million, $200 million is massive. That investment has to be done now. That there is no question. Investment related to governance, again, something, because that's, in my view, it's a nuisance. And if you do not have that thing fixed, that nuisance is going to keep you away from what you need to do. And your efficiency of the processes, efficiency of the decision making, which, let's say, was the first priority investment, that should free up the cash so that you're able to devote more time to important things rather than the organization being completely tied up doing, just playing catch up. So that's how I'll segregate this thing. But if something is a good to have, that okay, I have something which can be done maybe in a half an hour in Excel, but do I need a real cool digital tool for it? Maybe not. And that I would not do. And this is where I think, the ROI, there was one question in the mentee, the ROI. The ROI point is a responsibility of the user as well as the seller. It cannot just be said that, better ROI, take it. It has to be an ability to show that ROI literally very, very tangibly on paper. Then that investment should happen at that time. And from a financing standpoint, I think, ESG is going to catch up. ESG, people talk about sustainability alone, but governance is a big part. sustainability of the business is a big part apart from environmental sustainability. And those funds can get attracted if you want to invest in cyber security and all of that. Those funds can also be access to, they can be an access developed to it. So that's how you finance all of this.
And so, you are a tech-enabled company yourself, Mr. President. So, how do you use tech enablement in your own finance function to showcase better productivity and business numbers?
So, I basically head the pricing and commercial function. So, what we have done is, within finance, we try to bring in the AI part. Okay. So, what can AI do in finance function? It will come in our mind, right? What can AI do? What improvement we can bring in there? So in terms of when we come to this is a tech organization, so it's all based on the manpower, the number of developers or testers that are needed to design a particular project. So yeah, that's fine. So what we have done is that we have developed in-house tool, okay, which is for costing, pricing, all of that. And within the tool, what we have also added up is the AI, which is the industry-specific benchmarks. Say I'm pricing for a developer, okay, and maybe because of my cost structure or with the new cost structure coming in, the blended rate, whatever comes out of the tool, might be completely way out, which we may not be able to sell. So getting this sort of AI-related data, so you can refer to Gartner, Everest, all these things, right? So you can feed those data, and you can feed some kind of pyramid generally, right? And you click of a button, it tells you that you are so much far away from the reality. Okay, and that helps in winning the business. So that is what we have done. So what we do is that we do a costing and we run a pricing there, and there is an analytics which is built in. It will tell you how near are you to reach the customer, like how quickly can you get this deal. So that sort of a thing will definitely help the business. This is what we have done.
Mr. Sharad, your business has been enabling many internet startups and helping them achieve greater heights in terms of these cool things what they run, right? And run it faster as well. If I were to put you on a treadmill and ask you to run faster, what are the three important skills you would like to acquire today and for tomorrow?
From a business perspective, I think the infrastructure is already there. Any entity going into a business, that basic infrastructure is always there. I would just focus on one thing, that is customer experience actually, with the competition we have. I'll give you a small example. Say all of us, say pre-COVID, if the internet was not working in the home, we were all okay. No problem, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Now today if the internet is not working for 5 seconds, the call center is flooded with at least 50,000 calls. So customer experience and customer focus is the only thing we need to have as our principal priority. If we can manage and if we can deliver the right customer experience, I think customers are willing to pay a premium also. So customer experience and customer management, and we can do so many things for customer experience. I'll give you an example. Pre-COVID, a lot of cash was collected. Now everything is online. It's not only about my company, all of us. So many things were, you have to go to a physical office actually. Right? Now everything is online. Like in the first session, Manoj explained us opening a bank account. Opening a bank account was such a tedious task 2 years before. Now it takes 5 seconds to open a bank account. You just log into the bank website, put in your photo from DigiLocker, they take your Aadhaar card, PAN card, link it, and your account is there open. Now you have this Digi Yatra. It used to take 35 to 40 minutes to reach from the airport gate till the security check-in. I have traveled last 3-4 times from Bangalore. It has taken me max 7 minutes. I have counted that. From the main gate of the airport till the security check-in. So now Digi Yatra is going to become the new norm actually. So we need to be very clear, because once something has been delivered to the customer, now that is the new expectation. Now if I take 10 minutes to enter the airport, I really feel jittery because 10 मिनट लग गया. Because मैंने अपने दिमाग में कहीं 7 मिनट का एक benchmark डाल रखा है. 7 minutes is the fastest I need to reach to the security gate. So we need to keep evolving because things are changing. Nothing is constant actually. New products are coming. Right? I'll give you a classic example. When my grandfather he purchased a steel almirah, there was a 6 months waiting period. When one of his marriage anniversary wanted to give my Dadiji a steel almirah, and it took him 6 months to procure the steel almirah. Now today you think it takes 6 months, 6 minutes. You go online, order, and till the time you are out from your online, you can see the guy delivering the steel almirah at your house. You can buy vehicles in minutes actually. Things have changed so fast actually. We need to keep adopting, keep changing, and keep evolving. And that is the only mantra how we can succeed and take ourselves forward and our companies forward as well.
Well said on customer experience. So, coming to you, Pradeep, if customer experience and customer is at the epicenter, what are the core skills or the core functions of finance which will never change, and what can be better with technology adoption?
So, being again coming back to the hospital sector itself, right? So, we are a group. We always wanted to be a healthcare destination by choice, right? And again, that all starts when you are more customer centric. So, it is not only that within the finance function you have to be more customer centric; it has to be at every level. Now, for customer which is more centric, or you can say finance which has to deliver for both internal and external, right? So, you have certain customers which is within your organization. Your colleagues, but as a finance guy, you have to represent to them about the policies of the company. Then you have certain people who are outside of your organization, but you have to deal with those, like your bankers, auditors, and others. So what happens as a finance organization or the finance transformation? So customer centricity is definitely required, but that never happens at a cost of compliance. So as a finance person, like you always say that if you are maintaining everything on a proper records, right? Then you are providing whatever is required by either the internal customers or the external. So you have to be working in, you can say, within the orbit of your compliances. You have to work according to the requirements, but yes, definitely as a customer-centric person, you have to deliver it whatever is required at that stage. Again, coming back to the same thing which is about centricity of the customer, we have to perform anything as a finance person. So what happens is that, again, there's a lot of data now which is happening in the market. And there has to be certain analytical tools. You cannot run on the basic situations right now. So in our situation, what we did is, like, which is a very basic process, which has happened in every company. Right? We put up a bot for that, because we have more than 50 bank accounts with us. And a bot is something which is, you can say, a person otherwise was required on a daily basis to do bank. So now bot does it in 20 minutes for us. So I can reconcile more than 50 accounts in 30 minutes. And this is how I provide my customer, which is even my ops team, about my deliverables as a finance person. This is what a finance person has to do. He has to change as per the need of the business. He cannot be resistant that no, these are the processes I have to follow. But yes, he has to give some leeway to his customers also, that how he can help them to do it. So I will definitely say we are not the bookkeepers, we are not the cost center. Finance can also be treated as a profit center.
That's very well said. Sandeep, to you, you're the CFO of one of the largest labs. Everyone is talking about what, AI, etc. It fundamentally puts the question everyone as a finance person in their head. And is my job safe, etc. There are early adopters of GRC and build systems, build connected everything together, which has naturally given a lot of optimization for businesses to run seamlessly, and also, help each of the functions to perform better. Can you talk about, how the journey has evolved for a finance professional in terms of using ERP or adopting technology? How their efficiencies have gone up, and that cost of people, or that people have been deployed into other areas which have evolved better ROI.
Sure. If you see overall financials of SAP, we have been growing year after year. Where India, globally, we have been growing. You see the headcount of the finance function is coming down. Right? Why? Because of this efficiency. If you're talking about customer experience, maybe I'll give one example of what we implemented when I took over. So I took over as CFO of SAP India last year. So I have some customers here in the panel, and I'm sure there are many customers here. So when I took over, the first escalation in my inbox was, I have not received my email, but I have got a mail from SAP that they are blocking you because you are not paid. So what do I do? So my first thing was, okay, let me solve for this. We raised a lot of invoices. Again, just for the clarity, SAP has two legal entities in India. One is SAP Labs, which is in Whitefield, which is the R&D, which is the cost plus, and one is SAP Tech, which is the sales. Typically, when you say SAP, people link it to SAP Labs in Whitefield, but I'm talking about more on the field side. So we raised thousands of invoices for our transactions. So what we did is we also deployed a bot. So what this bot does is downloads invoices, affixes the signature and mails it to the customer. This bot has capability of sending 1,000 invoices per day. So what it does, my cash collections team today they don't have the burden of downloading, signing, sending. So what it does to me, they have got more time to speak to the customers and solve problems, collect money. In terms of productivity, that is something that is really helpful. Again, if you talk about forecasting, and we again talk a lot about machine learning. So when I do a forecast today based on the predictive data that is available in the system, what it does is it sees the various stages of my contract negotiation with the customer. It sees what industry they are in, it sees what is the pipeline conversion historically, and it gives me a forecast. So when I forecast something, I always feel like, what is the machine on forecasting? Am I close to that? Is there too much of a gap? If there is too much of a gap, then I'll ask, why is there is so much of a gap? You are not following for the machine, so something is wrong. So that way, I see a lot of improvements, a lot of changes, and as everybody said, we also have to keep ourselves updated with what is happening in the market, and we have to adapt ourselves faster. Otherwise, I think we can't. And the expectation is that it's not just cost, how we can bring a lot of efficiency, how we are being more effective when we do something. So things have changed dramatically over the last few years.
Great. Thanks. So, hey, just to add on to that, ERP is sufficient to change the process, or the digitization what we're talking about is something else added to the technology, what ERP provides?
ERP alone is not enough. Because, I mean, see, if I look at traditional ERP, it was very much record keeping, linking of the records, and in some way providing one source of truth. But that, what you do with the truth, is probably the layer which becomes more and more important. And then the ability to have the predictability in it. Because forecasting is important, not just for books and accounts, finance, stakeholder management. Forecasting is very, very important to manage your operations far more effectively, right? And just the connection of different data points, knowing that, I'll give a small example. So we have, again, a ERP system which keeps us that, okay, factory food is not dispatched, is that. We dispatch very expensive goods. Now those goods, one trailer costs at times 30 to 40 crores, what is on top of that trailer. And we need to know the weather conditions, we need to do some kind of geospatial mapping of the route and all of that beforehand. And I need to pre-feed that into a ERP system or a ERP system plus a platform to see how much time am I going to take from the factory to wherever the site is. Now all of that requires a level of predictability which A, helps in customer orientation, B, most importantly, also helps you in mitigating risk. So platforms or linkages of ERP, linkages of external data, because ERP is internal. ERP has got nothing or very limited use of external data. Your platforms will be able to marry the two, and that is super important, that how your company ERP interacts with outside world. So that is one. The second part, which is for me the most important part, that whether it's ERP, whether it's all of this, in general, people, you need to value experience less as we progress. And that is a huge giveaway which most of the professionals have to do. I mean, if it used to take 15 days from, let's say, Baroda to a port, today it takes 2 days or 5 days or 4 days. So the experience is eroding, or the value of experience is eroding very fast, because the assumptions around on which the experience was built up is eroding. And that is a big lever to move to the next level, which we are all collectively talking about. That one is whether your systems, your platforms and all are interactive or predictive and all of that. The second is that the people who are going to use those platforms also develop the attitude to do so. Otherwise, it will just be a nice dashboard with no impact. Then the ROI is always on table.
Well said. Well said. Thanks. Praveen, so we talked about ERP, we talked about digitization on top of ERP. Now, is there anything which is missing in between a linkage or some other need?
So what I am able to see over the period is that finance should become like a driving force, using this technology, using the new ERPs, or using AI, all of them. So, but traditionally the finance is like, okay, we close the books, we report the numbers, we do so many things. But now what has happened is that the CFOs or the leaders are expected to drive the margins. Okay, so it might be something different for a finance guy, because some of my colleagues used to tell me, hey, now I am being asked to drive the margin here. How do we do that? Okay, so this guy has to understand from the business angle what are the levers that can be used to improve, where are we going wrong, and then using the technology, if you also bring it like some common problems in generally as in IT industry is the forecasting versus actually. Okay, so the agility in forecasting, talking to the business and understanding why, where, how the problem is happening. So the transformation mindset also is very important for a finance guy. Just bringing in one ERP and putting the data there is again like a garbage in, garbage out. Okay, so transformation mindset is very important. Bringing in people like who can achieve that new transformation is also very important. What I have seen is that for a clear finance transformation, you need a set of people who can, apart from the regular ones, who can drive it. Only then it works.
So, Sharon, we talked about digitization, we talked about ERP, we talked about changing mindsets, etc. What is the quantum of impact all of this has come together from ROI perspective or from business perspective? If I end up doing all of this service running a mom and pop shop without any technology, etc., running daily bookkeeping very well, what is the quantum of difference you see?
See, this question is seen in a related context actually. Like one of the panelists told that if something can be done in an Excel in half an hour, I will not invest in any SaaS or any tool actually. So everything is related actually. So if you see that, for example, if it's a normal mom and pop shop, Khata book sort of stuff can work for me, which is very cheap. I don't need to put SAP actually. SAP as such as a ERP thing, I am not taking away your sales. SAP as a ERP is very good.
Non-relevant, that is why I use mom and pop shop.
SAP as such is a very good ERP. You need it for consolidation, when you have multiple entities, multiple locations and lot of transactions. But for a Kirana shop, if you want to use an SAP, I think it's the wrong thing actually.
Actually, I just used it as
No, but
I'm not
that is like choosing a technology.
Enterprise with a mom and pop shop.
Choosing a technology is very much relevant as per your needs actually. What you expect that technology to do. We have got so many bots actually, So I need to take a call whether an MT940 reconciliation in SAP is sufficient for me, or still I need to do a bot. The bot will come at a 5 lakh, 6 lakh cost. That's not a problem. But do I really need to invest that 6 lakhs? These are some tough questions we need to ask. Lot of licenses we buy, for example. But do I really need all those licenses? Again, I need to think actually. Because a lot of things we do in a future-looking statement. That yes, I may need this, I may require this thing, or maybe this will come in the future. But what I need to say is that at present, can I do a forecast which gives me realistic forecast of my buying spree, what I need to do actually. There will be no simple one-cut solution for every enterprise, or even in an enterprise for every department or every individual actually. You need to evaluate that and then take an ERP as per your requirement, as per your need. But definitely with digitalization coming in and processes, orientation, everything coming in, definitely it will improve the ROI, etc. Like a small shop also, if I take that example and take it forward, if that guy just keeps a simple check on his inventory, then maybe there are some leakage. I never know actually. So if he can have some basic tool, some basic ERP or even an Excel sheet reconciliation, that at the month end I do a reconciliation for me, that shows was I lost out 100 units, I did not realize money actually. Or if he does a simple macros or Excel sheet or any ERP, he knows how much is his debtors, how much is his collection actually. So again, picking an ERP and implementing it is very easy. It may be a one-time cost, but I need to evaluate exactly what is my need and what benefit it will give me. My utility cannot be his utility cannot be mine actually. So I need to be very clear and judiciously invest in whatever I do actually.
Just to add to what Sharad is saying, I mean, we get swayed by buzzwords also. Digitalization, everybody is like running around it. And I remember, one of my previous experiences, there was a huge hullabaloo of getting some super duper software to do online automated invoices. And it will go directly to the customer site and blah, blah, blah. And the customer are state discoms public utilities. They will never use it. So now you invest that for what purpose? To again print it out, put it in an envelope and courier it. I mean, that's the stupidest thing which was done. And it was done only because people wanted brownie points that we have implemented this digital solution. And that is where, what Sharad is mentioning, that it has to be contextual, it has to be something which is useful, otherwise don't do it.
In fact, we are seeing that today. If you see a lot of people who in a hurry invest in cloud, now we are seeing that it's cloud repatriation is what they call. They are coming back to on-premise because they have invested, because everybody is doing, I am also doing. They have spent the money, now they realize return is not so much and the cost is going to increase. They are coming back to the on-premise world and this is happening. What is it?
So, my last question to you, Mr. Pradeep. Same but in a differentiated form and asking, right? So, if digitization, change of mindset, etc., and brought in efficiency and brought in, faster process to get the customer experience, if I were to attach a value to that, what would be the quantitative value which has multiples of whether it is multiples of revenue or multiples of impact, etc., and all of that, business impact. What in business terms would be the impact which you can quantify?
So again, starting again with what was in the traditional areas where we have a long time to do a bookkeeping. Today, data is something which is very dynamic, and that is why we have all these dashboards and everything into the system, which can throw up the data whenever you are looking for. And so whenever you look for a data or whenever you want to do an activity, you have to have all those tools with you. So for your digitalization process or doing whatever you want, so you first have to phase out what is your requirement. You cannot randomly that one person is putting out something that you also do. You have to understand your business requirements, then only you decide what kind of activity you want. And again, whenever you are doing an activity, so I will again say being a finance guy, most of the people understand compliance is here. So compliance doesn't have an ROI. So you have to differentiate what are the activities you want to do for an ROI purpose and what are the activities you require for a sustainability.
There is ROI, sir. ROI is that you can shut down.
No, ROI, your question only, I think no one accepted for that ROI reply, right? Everyone said, I'll see the ROI last because I have to have something which is more sustainable to the business. I cannot run that, cannot go to the senior management or the CEO that I want this money, right? You will definitely ask for an ROI, but then you have to explain the requirements of it. So there's always, I can say, a very thin margin between what is required for an ROI and what is not required for an ROI. But as a finance person, definitely when you select the software or you select any digitalization, you should be aware that whatever I'm investing, and being a finance guy, I always have to have a higher return on my investment. That is something which you have learned from very basics, right? So whenever you choose anything, the ROI has to come with it, but it has to be something which can be sustainable. It cannot be for a short term. Again, going back to the same question which we had in the panel itself, that what will you like for a sustainable? So a startup can give me a lower cost thing where I can have better ROI because I will have more efficiency. But after a few years, I don't know whether the startup will be there or not. Or some big people can buy the startup and then my cost increase. So at the very first stage, we have to decide what we want, and then only we should link it towards the ROI or the return.
Yes, I would like to add one thing here. We just can't copy paste what someone is doing for me actually. Because utility is different and even the expectation of return is different. I may be happy with the 5% return, someone may not be happy with the 20% return. And if you go to an option trader, he will say, boss, nothing less than a 26.3% return. Right? Because he is making that growth the year actually. So all our requirements, like all of us are not same, the requirements are also different, and accordingly we need to pick up and invest so that we get a decent return and make the organization up.
Because the main organization, but main object is for the organization only. It is not about enhancing the finance team growth, but it is how you get a better return.
Thank you so much. I am done with my questions, but I would like to open up to the audience. If you have any questions, please shoot.
Again, all our panelists are going to be available after this, so I will give out two burning questions. This gentleman raised his hand, so that's the first one.
Good evening. My name is Gaurav. I am from pharmaceutical industry. So, as you said about the customer focus and more business, then only your salaries and our salaries will be available. So, one part is apart from taxation and purely finance activities. Another is costing. So, end of the day, you being as a CFO of your organization, how you are making sure that your product is more year on year cheaper to the clients, because end of the day customer is facing, apart from all those activities, customer is facing year on year cost increase. So what kind of activity? Basically mainly from SAP side, and because you don't say we are efficiency, because efficiency is the need. So I'm just purely talking about the costing.
I'm not selling SAP, but from my perspective, when we typically give a solution to the customer, we don't see it as a transaction. So for us, whether customer is getting value from that, yes or no. If customer is getting value, obviously he will not pay for the price. That is one of the main things that came in the question also. So yes, are we cheap? We are not cheap. Are we expensive? Yes, we are. Sometimes prohibitively expensive. That's what our customer tells us. Sometimes customer says that, am I getting the value that I'm spending? Yes, we do, and we always try to see that what is best for the customer. Yes, we have certain guidelines. We cannot go beyond certain level. Whatever can be done, we do, but beyond that, we can't do it because there is a huge cost that we have involved for the R&D, for the running of everything, and the support, back-end support that we give throughout the year. And we sign up for certain SLAs, right, like 99.7%, whatever SLA. So we need to deliver that. If I deliver that, I have somebody 24/7 working for that. So from a pure cost reduction perspective, the expectation is whether the customer can expect a cost reduction. Maybe yes, in some certain products where we have seen that all the investments have been returned, then of course we will take the price down. But otherwise, those products which are new, which are relatively new, with a lot of add-ons, typically you don't see the price going down, you only going up.
I just to add something here. When we talk about cost coming down for the customer, definitely everybody likes cost coming down. I'll give a very small example of Google Pay. Now they have stopped, but when they used to give us 2 rupees, 3 rupees on any transaction, all of us used to feel like we have got the Google ka khazana. So that is the excitement we used to get. It's not only about a cost cutting for the customer actually. If you give an experience, he is ready to pay a premium. Because it is this customer only who can go to a 9-off and still pay 1,000 rupees for a popcorn. Though very well he knows that 1,000 rupees is not the price of a popcorn. But when we talk about the finance role, there are a lot of things we can think of how the cost can actually come down with economies of scale. So we can definitely add up why my economies of scale is not coming up, how I can grow and bring my fixed overheads down. I can definitely work on lots of areas where cost optimization can be done rather than a cost saving actually. There's a difference between a cost reduction and a cost optimization. So I should focus on those areas, and I should definitely try to work very closely. Lot of processes in every organization. All of us here, if we put our hand to heart, we will say lot of processes are redundant processes which we can definitely do away with. If you take the government of India, they have scrapped some 100 statutes actually. If the best of the bureaucrats working in the country were living with 100 odd, I don't know the exact number, 100 odd statutes, just imagine how many redundant processes there definitely must be there in an organization. So we can definitely look at all those processes, revisit that, and then bring a reduction in the cost. And if the profitability remains the same, EBITDA margins remains the same, or maybe we can think of sharing it with the customer. There is no harm in sharing that. Supply chain is another big area where we can definitely chip in. Forex, etc. is definitely another area where you can chip in. So you can take a call whether I need to import or do get a vendor who can go make in India for me actually. So that reduces the cost for me. If I engage with my vendor that hey boss, I need 1,000 units of this, so he says boss 1,000, 1,100 I can reduce the cost. That's my break even, or that's my level where I can think of. So small lot of things are there. It doesn't need to be very jazzy, very technical, but simple fundamentals. If we keep revisiting and reanalyzing, there are a lot of opportunities of saving money for the company and ultimately increase their EBITDA or profit and pass on that to the consumer very easily.
Thank you, Mr. Sharad. And one last question. They're going to be around, like I said, so you can always catch them later in the interest of time.
So, sir, my question is specifically to Heen, sir. So during the first question what sir asked, he mentioned that the people should be focused on field-specific roles so that they can. My question is that youngsters who are young in the team, should they, if they want to change their jobs for their growth, should they work or should they focus on the similar kind of industries from the beginning, or they should work it on in some industry at the initial stage and then they can work out that yes, this field is better for me, and then they should take a call?
See, you have to experiment. It is unique and not very usual that you will find your place very easily and you say that, this is to my liking, this is something which I would want to do forever. But that experimentation has an expiry. If that experimentation is a decade long, then maybe it can still work, but it can get only challenging because you have to then compromise on what you are expecting out of that job. But if you keep the experiment reasonably brief, I think going deeper would always be more helpful and be more valuable to the organization which you would be.
I think I'll chip in. Very few people I forget the name of the movie, Amir Khan and R. Madhavan, where R. Madhavan wanted to be a photographer for 3 years, right? And then he got that interview call, he ditched it, and he went on to become a photographer. If we have that passion and zeal, 2004. So it's an FMCG company. I started my career in internal audit, moved into corporate accounts. Then I moved into corporate treasury. Only in my CA final I had read something called option and future. When I joined in the treasury, my friend used to sell call बेच दे. मैं बोलता था call बेच दे, तो call तो option तो buy होता है, ये बेच कैसे सकता है? That is how I learned. Then they sent me to Saharanpur cement factory. From the power corridors, when the CIO and fund managers used to come here suited booted, I landed up in a place Saharanpur, western part of the UP, where I was standing in front of a pigly excise superintendent, and he used to say, "मैं बाहर रखिए, जब समय होगा मैं आपको बुलाऊंगा." From there, I moved into food business division, setting up the new categories for ITC. So even in an organization, it's very difficult that you think that I will keep doing the same thing actually. It's always, I would always prefer that you go for, within the same organization also, you can opt for a different role actually. Because the more time you spend into a role, definitely specialist is there, for example, tax guys become specialist, but more time you spend, you become complacent into that job actually. You're not doing good for yourself and not doing good for the organization. A change is always welcome. So the organization you can choose, same organization, different role. You can get into costing, budgeting, planning, supply chain. All the areas of finance are there in every organization. It's not necessary that you go and change an organization to pursue or to look for new organization.
Absolutely. I think just for clarity, when I was talking about specificity, it has to be sector specific. That is what I was alluding to more. Within that sector, I'm completely with Sharad that because FMC is a very wide area. Someone in supply chain, sometime in finance, treasury, that will give a far more value add rather than being only in tax or accounting or whatever. But my comment to you was more on having sector-specific expertise. Within that sector, of course, as much of rotation as possible is only better.
Even if you talk about FMCG, for example, how do you define FMCG? Dairy is also FMCG, chocolates is also FMCG, Ashirwad Atta is also FMCG, biscuits is also FMCG. You have to look for whatever is your calling and then pursue that to make a career out of it actually.
You know, a panel is fantastic when they're just bouncing off each other and you want to listen to them for the rest of the evening. Thank you for being such a wonderful panel for us. Please put your hands together. If I can ask you to just stand up for a minute, we'll quickly clear the chairs and we'll take a group picture. VP and Business CFO, Reliance Industries. Mr. Praveen Kumar, MVP and Head Commercials and Pricing Emphasis. Sharad Mehta, VP Finance, Mac Cabinet. And Pratik Gupta, AVP Finance, Manipal Hospitals. Thank you very much. It's been fantastic having you here. And please catch them afterwards with all these burning questions that you're holding on to. It's just in the interest of time because we have one very small session right after this. And we need to quickly get back to who is going to win the Kaun Banega Karodpati, right? So, can we sort of quickly move into thanks a lot, Vishnu, for moderating the session and giving away the gifts. Okay, so here we are. Jaykumar, Jagdish, changed since then? Okay, so Adi, Vinod, Abhinandan, all there. Let's go for the last 4 questions. Those of you who perhaps walked in late, you need to go to mentee.com and go to 59379069. And your next, I'm sort of going to quicken up the pace here on the questions. You'll still get 15 seconds to answer them, don't worry. So let's go. Question number 5. Which Indian actor was chosen as the brand ambassador to promote GST in India? Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, Amir Khan, Akshay Kumar. I hope you have locked in your answers. Well, 30 of you got that right. Amitabh Bachchan is the answer, and it's getting exciting. Just 3 questions to go. One of you is going to emerge the winner. Question 6. At what rate is TDS deducted on crypto transactions for transactions crossing the specified limits? 1%, 3%, 5%. This is still a CFO. We will keep coming back to the topic. Time runs out now. Wow. 33 of you got that right, so that's 50%. And question number 7. As always, answer fast to get more points. How many members currently form a part of the GST Council in India? 33, 31, 25. They're trying to trick you by not putting them in numerical order. Sizable of you got that right. Okay. Here's the thing. How many of you are right now thinking I'm winning this? Okay. The leaders who are at the earlier side, are you still confident? This is the last question coming your way. Okay, question 8 of 8. Hopefully a tiebreaker. Let's go. What was the threshold turnover limit initially notified to comply e-invoicing under GST? 100 crores, 250 crores, 500 crores, 50 crores. Initially notified. Should have actually checked some credentials. question. I said this on the first question. I said this on the last question. Okay, so let's look at who's won this. Is it Tom? Jagdish K. Is there a... Please give a big round of applause to Jagdish. Jagdish, please join us on stage. You can claim to be the smartest CFO in the room right now, right? Thank you so much. Congratulations. Time and joining us today. We are at the back end of the event. We'll just take 5-10 minutes to wrap up. But we do, of course, want to tell you about what we have been at work with. It was very exciting for me to hear the panelists here talk about a variety of things around supply chain, about vendor financing, keeping your vendors happy and things like that. And you're going to see a bit of that because these have been some of the things the enterprise design team, of course, and the entire company has been working on, which again, as one of the panelists said, has meant why clear tax has turned clear. We're getting to a lot of other areas, and we want to share that with you. Before I call Paranth to join us, we want to introduce to, in a very quick way, a nice video, just telling you what it is that we are talking about. Let's play the video.
With every block of time comes a wave of transformation. This wave has changed the big question for CFOs. Why transform? To when and how quickly can we transform? Modern CFOs are looking beyond digitizing pockets of operations, one that is focused only on automating repetitive tasks. But their aspirations have changed. The needs are bigger and complex. A connected finance ecosystem, one that operates on a single information source, one where teams collaborate seamlessly, one that is real-time and paperless. Did we get you thinking? Let's take an example of a purchase invoice lifecycle. A purchase invoice is received by AP team, reconciled by tax teams, payment approved by AP team, discounted, factored by treasury teams, payment released by accounts team. Also, this entire process needs you to manage and communicate with your vendors systematically, right from receiving invoices to notifying on payments, communicating issues, to allow them to avail early payments. A process with multiple links is vulnerable to break. What if this process gets synchronized, real-time, and seamless without disrupting your current digital estate? Introducing Clear Finance Cloud. An integrated platform with seamless flow of information helps finance leaders digitally transform operations and build a connected finance ecosystem. Let's explore the cloud, synchronize smart processes across tax, payables, and treasury, enable new revenue stream with invoice discounting, all the while keeping under hood the growing risk of non-compliance that comes from the convergence of tax and supply chain. Integrated with your ERP, the Clear Finance Cloud can offer holistic transformation that gives you peace of mind and reduce the risk of non-compliance, secure loss against tax scams and frauds, save tax and increase input tax credits, lower the working capital loss, increase yield on surplus treasury funds, improve team productivity and satisfaction. Clear Finance Cloud welcomes you to the future of finance. Beyond ordinary.
Ladies and gentlemen, to tell you more about this and answer any questions that you may have, I invite our CTO Paranth Thiruvengadam to join us on stage.
Thank you. Hey, good evening all. I know it's Friday and it's a little late also. So this is going to be the last session. That's good. This is going to be the last session. So the first thing most of you will be curious is, what is this Beyond is about, right? Okay, you guys invited all of us. You are running a panel. We got a lot of insights from the panel people. You're running here and there some videos. You're doing some poll. It's all good, but what are you trying to get with? It's actually invited, there is two things we want to do as part of this one. One is, you want to actually meet a lot of industry veterans to understand what is their perspective of finance, whether you use the jargon of transformation, digitization, whatever you want, what is they are looking for. The second thing what we want to do is, hey, what is Clear doing? We are doing something here, and we want to showcase what is that we have been doing the last 2 years, which we think will be a big transformation or market doesn't have today what we have been. And that's what we want to showcase here. That's the purpose of this Beyond. So you can see all over the place there's something written as Clear Finance Cloud. So if you look at Clear Tax, right, I think from the time GST came in, we entered into the B2B business. So when government came in and said, okay, hey, we are creating GST, historically Clear Tax was a consumer-based company for ITR filing, right? Then we said, okay, fine, let's enter into GST. So we created one product because there was a need of the hour. So we ended up creating one product. Then after a few years, government said, hey, we have a e-invoice problem now. So then we said, okay, fine, we'll create another product. So this is how our journey started into the B2B enterprise space. So the idea here is to say, whenever there was a need something, we created a cookie cutter project. So we realized these two products which we created don't talk to each other at all. So for example, if you understand, hey, if I'm an e-invoice user, I ended up generating IRNs through this one. Why do I have to come and again ingest, right? That's the first thing people will ask. And if you realize, ingestion is not a small problem at all. If you look at one of the things in the poll which came out is, one of the number one problems all of you mentioned is, hey, we need a single data source for it. And you will be very surprised. We have around 4,200 enterprises in our platform as of now. You'll be very surprised to see in GST, only 31% of the customers are successful the very first time when they ingest. Why it is a problem, right? So what do? They go to ERP, download the data. Till then it is all good. And after that, the platform will say, hey, I accept in a particular format. So the user takes this data, massages the data over time, and during this massaging is all the errors will happen. And then he pushes to the platform. So fundamentally, 31% only first time successful. After that, we throw different errors. The guy again downloads, again massages, again uploads. This is like a chaos he's running in. And the poor guy always starts with like the 10th of the month, and by 11th night, 10 p.m., everybody is like in a jittery format. This is a normal thing. So we realized 2 years back, fundamentally, is there a need to create cookie cutter products, right? Separate products. Or is there a collective platform which is very highly integrated and which talks to each other? Is there a need of that? We were thinking about this like 2 years. So that's the birth of this Clear Finance Cloud. So the company has been building almost completely from ground up. It's not like, hey, we took one product which we created and we say, hey, can we customize this product to make it more friendly? No. We said, if you are to build something, you need to first build an enterprise-grade platform. So what does it do? Before we go into the details of the product, I'll walk you through some of the capabilities as a platform that it has, right? For example, in our old platform, let's say you are a business who has a couple of PANs, you have a couple of GSTNs, branches configured, you bought a GST product. After 6 months, you said, hey, we like your product, we want to buy e-invoice also. We'll say, come and upload everything again. What is your PAN, what is your GSTN, come and set up everything from the start. Then you'll say, hey, I have a bunch of users who has already designed, and I have access control at a different GSTN level, PAN level, everything. Can you leverage in your new product that we got e-invoice? We can't do it. We'll again say, come and do everything. So we realized, users actually for every product, we asked them some of the very basic things itself to come and reinstall every time. So we said, hey, let's step back and create a product which is one time if the user comes and uploads basic information, let's say user information, configuration, access control level, everything, and then tomorrow he wants to say, hey, I want to buy e-invoice, leverage the same thing completely. That's the first start of the journey. Then the next thing we said is, okay, user access control is all good, but you have only 2 products at this point. Customers, the last 2 years we have been talking to enterprises, one of the good things what we realized is, they don't want actually cookie cutter solution. They're telling, hey, can you have a platform which is very connected to each other? So why it is that's how government has actually designed itself. If you look at it, for example, hey, I create an e-invoice product. And I have a business, let's say 2 types of businesses there. One is, I generate only B2B business ID. So I come and generate e-invoice, and I generate an IRN. You don't have to wait till the next month starting to do anything with GST, right? Because in real time, I should be able to flow that to my GST product, and any second, any minute, you should be able to see the full prepared ready for you to do the GST. This we can actually do, because that's how government designed, right? All the B2B should automatically flow. So the next one is, hey, I'm a company who does both B2B as well as B2C. Then two use cases are there. Some customers will come and say, leverage the B2B at the top of the one, what you call e-invoice in a GST. The other one is, I will come and upload my B2C summary directly in there, which is very simple. Then I have another set of customers who say, hey, I don't want to even upload the summary because my B2C volume is very, very high. Some have like tens of crores in some of the big e-commerce players who are our customers. So then I say, hey, I will ingest my B2C also into your e-invoice same platform because it's a very simple integration with my ERP. You go ahead and do summary calculation, everything. So when I come to GST, I literally should not do anything because there is no validation, no error issue, nothing, right? Because you're already in real time, you have ingested from my ERP. So I don't have to massage the data, anything. It just flows in and automatically you see. This is the start of our journey. What we realized is two things we realized. One is we need to have one single data source which is very highly integrated with every product line so that the customer has only one touch point to one particular document type. In this case, a sales document. The other thing we realized in these discussions with the customers is actually they want a bunch of products so the entire compliance would to be solved. And that's the start of the. This is the bunch of the products that we have created in the last 2 years. So what does this mean? So we'll go through we'll go through some of the products and see what's the power of this particular platform gives you, right? So at the top of the funnel, we'll take, let's say there is a sales journey which starts it. The first product we have is clear invoicing. Many will be surprised, you might be from a big, anybody from startups here? Okay, nice. So at least there is somebody whom we can relate. So most of the big enterprises have a lot of money, so you will have ERPs running in, ERP has full-fledged GST invoice generation, everything possible. So when we start socializing with startups, the first thing we realized is, hey, we don't even have an ERP, okay? Can you help me generate GST invoice? That's the start of the journey set. Okay, fine. You have an order, you want to generate a GST invoice. That's the start of the clear invoice. So the journey here is very simple. Okay, I have 19 different combinations of my document type and supply type. Can you create all combinations? Actually, a lot of startups in India use our product today in clear invoicing. That's a start. So now the same customer, after that comes and says, okay, you created it, a good chunk of them is B2B, can you generate IRN automatically? Now we have two options here. Hey, the data automatically would have flown to our e-invoice product. If you are a user who want to come into our product, automatically select and generate IRN, that is one possible. The other customer says, hey, while I ingest itself, I will tell you a flag in that one, generate IRN automatically. So when you generate a GST invoice from a draft and it goes to the actual one, generate IRN. So in that one, when you ingest, right, we created a GST invoice for him, immediately we generated IRN also for him. So now the guy is like, okay, two of my problems solved. The next thing what he says is, hey, I don't have too big of IDT team here to come and massage everything, flow that same to GST. That same second that he has created, if you go to GST and see, you will have a full-fledged prepare page, everything ready. Now the first problem when we come, so each of these products have a unique value add. So there is one as a connected story. Is your entire product only connected story or you have anything more? That's the first question everybody asks, right? So we'll go a little bit of a dip on each product to say what is our unique flavor of this, right? So for example, clear invoicing. When you fire, one of the things which we are very proud about Clear in building platforms is, we think technologically we are super strong. Or we claim we are super strong. So here are some of the data points that we tell which we think we are very strong. So any of the invoice generation process in clear invoicing will be less than 100 milliseconds is the response time what the platform will give you. And it doesn't matter whatever scale you give it. I'll give you some examples of a scale. So recently I was with one of the startup CTO, not like 6-7 months back. It's one of the very high scale processing startup. So he said, hey, I generate almost roughly 800 plus IRNs per second. Per second. Sorry. Okay, so one of the things what the startup leader was mentioning is, hey, we generate roughly 800 plus IRNs per second at the peak of the traffic and continues to maintain the same for a very long time. So one of the challenge they had with one of our competitor, whichever enterprise they were with, they were like, hey, we take some 3 to 4 seconds for an IRN to come back, and that is putting a lot of backlog on my thing. Can you do something different here? We said, hey, 800 to 900 RPS, we will give you in like 250 to 300 milliseconds. The guy was like, absolutely not possible, right? Obviously, because that is not the scale. He said, hey, we are not here to do PPT presentation to showcase. We'll give you a sandbox environment. You come and hit us. You will know what is happening. So literally the leader said, hey, I like this one. I said, if you fire it, and if you think the scale is holding in our sandbox, then we talk, otherwise we stop the conversation. So he said, okay, there is a depthing setup. In the next 2 days, they were firing till 900 requests per second, and our 90th percentile became at 270 milliseconds. And the same week we signed the deal. The idea here is to say, you will not find a platform in India which can scale higher than what Clear Finance Cloud is. Absolutely. And we are very confident on this one to say whether it is scale or response time or availability, absolutely fabulously built product because it is from ground up built for the scale requirement. That's one of the unique things which we do. So then, okay, so e-invoice scale is good. What else is there, right? E-invoice is very simple. I just generate iron, I just cancel iron, maybe if you have a few more information, what's a big deal about it, right? So the next thing what is very unique about here is, today, or just like 2 weeks back till then, if you have to generate an iron, you have to go to NIC, right? NIC is the only system available. So government realized, hey, I am generating now IRNs about 10 crore. So this may not scale for me because I'm going to open up below that. It's going to be very vast. So they went and gave a tender for private IRPs to come and play. Some 30 plus companies bid it. A lot of big IT services companies were there. So 4 of the private players got selected for private IRPs. We did a big demo, security review, everything. And one of them is Clear. And the best part is all 4 private IRPs went live last week. So what is this step? Is there anything different now? So there is big difference here. I'll tell you why. So the last time Clear e-invoice platform, in e-invoice one of the very important things is not functionally alone it is important. The availability of the platform is very important. Why? Most of you will understand, if a truck is in the warehouse and it is not able to generate an iron, at that point your system is down, the truck cannot even leave the warehouse. The supply chain is completely choked. So there is a huge business impact because of the availability of the platform. The last time we went downtime on an e-invoice platform was August 2022. That is because NIC completely choked on the backend. So what we are telling is, if NIC doesn't choke, our platform's availability is absolutely fabulous. Now how does it change the equation because you are an IRP? It changes hugely because now we have complete control of what NIC controls into our system. That is one advantage, which our availability is very high, way higher than a government system. The second advantage is, when there are multiple IRPs, you have a capability to go if one is down, the other one will go. So we will now guarantee close to 4 nines. I may not be able to tell you absolutely 4 nines, but way above 3 nines, but slightly closer to a 4 nines. That's the availability of the system. And this is very, very important when you are running a business because you want a smooth supply chain to go. So it's not about functionally alone important, it's important how important a tech stack availability for a business to run. See, the next product is GST, right? So whenever I go to a customer and say, hey, we have a product GST, which is brand new product, amazingly built. The first thing I hear from CFOs, dude, I have a solution, man. I've been doing business for so long now, I don't want. In fact, the first thing is they don't even want to listen. I said, good. So we try to land in a different product and then push it. But we want to give a sneak peek of what this one does. So one of our very big customer, very large corporate sitting out of Chennai, they have around 28 GSTNs. Historically, in our old platform, they take roughly 2 days to do the G1 filing now. In the new platform, they do it in 1.5 hours. Okay? What's amazing about it? 1.5 hours. That's it. Entire 28 GSTNs, fully done. And this is very, very differently thought through product. What is that one? What is so different about it, right? The first thing is the integrated story, which we talked about. The second thing is, most customers, when they integrate it, right, the next thing what they have a problem is, hey, I ingested some data into your platform, but how do I know what is in ERP is exactly matching to you? You know what they have to do? They'll manually take a dump of this side in Excel, that side in Excel, do an aggregate of each one to see if the data is matching. That's a nightmare thing. What we're telling is, hey, you don't have to do anything. You come in, you want a GST level summary, we'll give you summary. You want PAN level summary, we'll give you summary. You want GL code summary, we'll give you summary. So Ditto will give you in the SaaS exactly what you need to do, look up the same in ERP. That's the first type of things which will go very fast. Because that alone is a huge progress for them to move forward actually next step. The second one is, in our old platform or most products in the industry, you can only ingest at a GST level. Then there is an upgrade came and I say, hey, can I ingest at a PAN level? We not only ingest at a PAN level, we can actually ingest at a multi-PAN level. So you have one giant Excel which says, hey, let me come and pump in everything inside, all my PANs inside. I don't know to tell you anything. Can you take it everything and take care? Exactly. But now they'll say, okay, why I give you a restriction of even Excel, right? So this platform scale, I'll just give you 1 or 2 insights so you'll get it. One of the crypto exchanges use, so our ingestion capability is a common platform which is used across all of our products. It's a platform capability built. One of the crypto exchanges used for TDS ingest 45 lakh deductions in one big CSV file. And we will be able to process. The closest a platform can process in any products that you have, go check it with any of your, whoever you're using it, more than 5 lakh it won't process, that system will crash. Any product in the market, you get anybody, Big Four, anybody, I'm giving you open day, I'm telling you because I have benchmarked with all the products, check with any product, 5 lakh it will crash. 40 lakh, 45, it will go through seamlessly and crypto exchanges are very high. So why is this very critical? Historically, when a customer comes in, they have multi-PAN, I have multi-GSTN, every one of them I have to come and ingest, I have to verify the data, it's a very painful process. So what we are trying to tell is here, hey, take up one big file, upload one shot. The performance of what we can show you in this ingestion is unrealistically fast. In fact, yesterday there was one of the customers who came in to see a demo of this, a 10 lakh will come in like 13, 14 seconds, 10 lakh invoices, ingesting. That's the capability of it. So ingestion is one of the biggest problems that is overcome. The next thing is verification between ERP and this one. There is another big problem we are coming. So the next thing we'll say is, so if you would have noticed this problem will be very common in a G1 filing. Hey, ingestion went through, but when I'm about to push to the government will give me all the errors. Hey, this is missing, GSTN, the counterparty GSTN is cancelled, is suspended. Every error you will get when you push to the upload. And government has actually another interesting way. It doesn't tell you all the problems in one shot, you know, right? So it is, if it's a 10 problem, the first problem hits it, it will stop there, it will throw you. Once you fix the problem and push it, you think it is done, no, then only second problem will come. Then the third will come. So it will sequentially go one by one problem. And this problem you will start facing on the 11th of the day. And you're already very stressed. Dude, I have only few more hours, how do I do it? What is differentiator here? When you ingest, and during that error correction, if we go through the full product without any error, absolutely we guarantee you 0 errors you will have in upload when you press the upload button. Because 100% of what validation government does, we have instantly fixing it on our platform. So when you crossed error calculation, the first thing what you do is it will go through seamlessly in upload, you don't have to worry at all. Single click, 100%. So now the next one is, okay, while ingesting I have error, what is the differentiator can you do? Actually, one of the power we wanted to build in, and I want to look at to see how the audience is reacting here. We want 2 goals to accomplish. When a user lands in our platform, we don't want him to leave our platform for any reason, not to go to government, not to anything. And we'll tell you what all we have built so that he doesn't have to leave. The second thing what we want to do is, we don't want anybody to download from Excel in our platform. I'll tell you why we are thinking that way. So one of the problems what we face is, user comes in at different stages and say, hey, I have an error, I'll download the Excel file and I'll go do all the VLOOK capability I have. We look up and I'll come and upload. What I don't know because of this is, am I producing 70% value or am I producing 30% value? I have no idea because the guy went separately and came back. So what we are trying to tell is, how can I keep him completely in the platform? So our error correction, if you have, it's a fabulous error correction product, way more than Excel capability we have built in, which we want to show a demo. Whoever is interested will show because in this time constraint we don't want to show. The power of that is, in a particular record, there are 3 columns you have a problem. Right there it will land in and tell you exactly tooltip what you need to do. And right there you can fix it. All the control capability which you have in Excel will do. And automatically it will move it. Error calculation is one of the productivity benefits. The second one is, hey, I uploaded to government. You know what's a normal problem? Next one will I fixed all the things. Now I say upload to government. The next thing what the customer does is, let me go to the government side. I don't trust this guy, any tool they are given. I'll go to the government side and verify whatever I uploaded is there or not. That's the first thing all of you do. We don't want you to go. What we'll do is, hey, once you upload it, in that same screen we'll show you. We'll go to the government, pull the API and come and show, this is what you uploaded in clear, this is what is in government. If there is exact, not even, if it is not 0, the differences will flash you in red. And we'll tell you exactly what is the reason it is there. So that way, you don't have to leave. The next thing what you do is, okay, upload, everything looks good, I want to go file. The filing is a very, very tedious process historically. Whether it is you are doing EDC based or DSC based, we'll give you a simple screen. 28 GSTNs in one screen, you generate OTP, write there, file. Generate OTP, write there, file. 28 GSTNs, a customer was telling 3 to 4 minutes, fully done. And in that, if you have a DSC, right, it's less than that. You just plug in, we'll run through the entire one shot and be there. So now, historically, what people do is, they'll upload that to the government, and then you say, no, I'll go to the government site only and file because you don't have capability. We said, no, you don't have to worry. Stay here, we will show you filing. Then we realized after filing, the only thing they went to government is, no, I will go download the G1 report from government. We said, why do you want to go there? We'll give you that also in our product. So now we have a download capability in this one. So that ends the G1 flow. We think absolutely there is no need for anybody to do. So we said, okay, let's try this for every product. We'll give you one more glance on a 3B. So when 3B started, our original, we didn't even have a 3B filing capability also in our old product. We said, okay, let's give an end-to-end 3B filing capability. After we file, what do? I want to generate challan. So generate challaning, they go out of the product. We said, inbuilt will give you challan creation here, full product. Now after challan creation, what do? You pay the tax through payment to this one. Now right now there is a development happening in for paying a payment also through our platform. Here we will tell you, hey, if you don't have money to pay, our invoice discounting, our lending business product, which we'll show you, which will actually give you an option to actually take a lending amount and do. The idea here is to say, for any reason, the customer should not leave the product. So, what is the big deal about all these things, right? So, the idea is when a customer sits on the particular product and finishes end-to-end connectivity, his productivity is drastically good. For example, when government came in like few months, August or something, right, around that time frame, table 4 automation. The first thing what we said is, this is a hugely manual, laborious process of running it. We said, can we do a full-fledged automation of table 4 which populates everything automatically? Our product has. So the idea is, you should not do anything manual, plus you should not leave our platform for any reason. This is one of the biggest goals on which the product started in. That's about our GST. I'll give you a little bit glance of our TDS product. So historically, we used to have a TDS product before. So what is this TDS product does is, there's something called FUV file generation format, many of you would have heard. It's just an utility file. Actually, we had only that as a product and we were selling. And a lot of customers were buying that also because it is quite a complex. Then we realized actually that doesn't do 10% of the work also what is expected to do. So in the new platform, we said, generate FUV file. You will do filing. You will do Form 16 generation. Then you will do digital signature. That also will give you. Then we give distribution also Form 16. So that ends the journey of the filing. Everything in the product. You don't have to leave the product at all. That's a differentiator. So every product that is created here, how do we make sure the customer finishes the end-to-end journey in the platform? So there is one more product we have, is a Max ITC, right? So this is maximize input tax credit. So then the first question will come is, we have a GST product and we know how to maximize, right? Because we have a recon capability available in the GST. It's very different. Recon will only tell you what is the problem actually, how do we solve it, how do we automate it, it won't say. So maximize ITC, one of the biggest problems we saw is, hey, how do I make the life of an IDT team as well as an AP team lot more smoother? So in our Max ITC product, 90% of our customers are fully integrated. And that is the first product where we had a backward integration. That means we go back to ERP and actually update. What does that mean? Hey, I run a recon, you set it up in a scheduled manner, because every week, let's say your payout is every week is there. Just the previous day, you set up the scheduler fully. We'll go grab all the PR, purchase register, and run a recon. And then you can come and configure to say, hey, these are the vendors, whether they file or not, I trust them because they have been doing business with me all the time. Don't block any payment. Go ahead and release the payment. Hey, these are set up a bunch of them. Based on the output of what the recon is, you decide if the variance is this much. There are a lot of configurations there. Rupee variance is this much, tax variance is this much. You go ahead and block the payment. So what we'll do here is, we will run the schedule basis fully, and we'll go back to ERP, and actually we will do an update and block the payment itself. So the AP team comes in, comfortably knows what has been done. Here the first question people will ask is, because I saw an SAP leader here, the biggest challenge what folks come to, our customers come and say, we know SAP will have a problem, right? They will charge you licensing violation, all the fees. So one of the good thing about it is, SAP, all these products of ours is fully SAP certified. In front of him, I'm making a statement also. So ECC, S4HANA, we have a full certificate for everything, where SAP legally has got a full detailed review of our product, what we are doing. So that way you should not have any problem in saying, hey, I have an SAP set up. If I go ahead and update, will SAP come and chase me? No, absolutely not. That is one of the benefits. The other is, how do I make the entire ITC claim process very smooth, right? Because most companies will say, hey, I went and did an ITC claim. So now I have a reversal. Do you take care? I have an amendment coming. Can you take care? I have a partially claimed ITC. Can you take care? That's the power of this product. Everything about the ITC claim process, what is the length at which we can go and fully integrated with ERP. So then, okay, so when we started this maximize ITC, one of the things what we realized is, if we have a product which we think is awesome to claim ITC, then we went to market. Then we realized the challenge is actually not that. The challenge is the purchase register on the ERP is almost crap. Most customers in the industry don't have a clean purchase register. So majority of the time our integration team was doing is fixing the clean PR and developing the clean PR for it. And this, the integration time sometimes takes 3 months, 6 months, crazy because people don't even have a structured way. Then we realized, hey, two options are there. Either I can continue to build one clean process every time in the integration, or can I solve it very strategically, slightly on the upstream. That is the birth of this product called Capture. So what is here is do is, hey, let me give an upstream a product which actually either the anchor or the vendor comes and upload the purchase register, invoice, and I do all the validation needed for me, and I sync it to ERP. Because if I sync it to ERP, I know it is completely reliable so that Max ATC can claim. Now this product, this has a lot of benefits. This is one of the, in fact we have to tell you, this product will be the game changer for us in Clear. Out of all the compliance products that we have. Why it is very critical? Because for multiple reasons. So today when a supplier sends an invoice to you, couple of problems you have. You don't know whether it is fully compliant. The invoice is fully compliant, the vendor is fully compliant. We'll give you a couple of examples, right? So the vendor says, vendor is e-invoice compliant guy, but he didn't even generate an IR. You have to go manually check. The other one you have to do is, hey, vendor says he is e-invoice compliant, but whatever he has sent you as an invoice amount is not matching to the IR and QR code. Whatever the tax amount he is sending you, it is not matching that. So every information of this with e-invoice, you have to be compliant. Similarly for e-way bill, every information which is sent to you, you have to be compliant. Then the vendor itself has to be compliant. So problem with the vendor being compliant, right? Hey, do you know his PAN number is verified? His GSTN is verified, his SIN is verified, his MSME status is verified, his bank account information is verified. So all these are nuances of detail. Can I make it automated instead of manually going and doing? That is the start of this journey. So there are some 50 plus validation rules that we run in the product, which helps you to tell if this invoice is fully compliant. And then when the dip of outside of it, this product is finally synced to ERP. So once I sync that one, when I grab it from Max ITC, it is very clean because I'm only syncing for them. So in this journey, if we realized, it is not a benefit for the customer to buy individual products. So let's say you think, hey, I have value on this one, Max ITC. But if you buy that product alone and the quality of the PR is not clean or the compliance on the invoice side is not, you're not able to check, the value of that will go. That's why you need the value of the upstream product. So why all these products? For example, hey, TDS has a rate determination. When I'm syncing it to ERP, I need to know what is the TDS rate to go in. I need to have a rate determination process. So this will make a call to the TDS rate determination. TDS as a product takes deductions. Actually, I can derive from my PR itself. So I don't need a deductions directly take from the PR when I'm getting, I will go ahead and create the deductions. So in all of these products, if you see, they're all tightly interconnected with each other. So what is that which we, this is the journey that we went in the last 2 years to say, there is no value for an enterprise to come and buy one or two products separately. They don't see the value and we don't see a remarkable transformation we can do to the customer. In fact, today most of the enterprises, we don't go to them to say, can you buy e-invoice, can you buy GST? We say, hey, if you are interested in making a big transformation, we have a platform and we'll come and walk you through fully. And it's not like we want to sell you directly also. Come and run your POC full-fledged in your sandbox environment, in ours. See the value and then you can come. So it's not like, hey, I show you only in PPT, you make a deal with me. No. We'll run a full-fledged, most customers today, actually customers are very smart today. They in fact, I will give you my PR, run a full recon, show me what is it, I get it, then we'll even talk. So we run fully in sandbox environment. That is the power of this particular thing. So now the journey of the vendor one is results in two ways, right? One is, hey, vendor is coming and uploading the invoices, that is one journey. There are customers who will say, anchor, hey, vendor sends an invoice to the anchor itself will come into, because sometimes the vendors are bigger than the customer itself. The vendor will say, hey, I can't do it, but the customer is okay to do. So we give you n different ways to integrate to how to get the invoice. So for example, vendor has his own email generation, invoice generation, he sends it to an email to the anchor. We directly read from the email and push it. That is one option. The second option is vendor itself can come and actually upload the invoice to the UI and he himself go through all the validation. That is one option. The other one is anchor says, hey, I will come and upload. That is another option. The fourth one is some of the e-commerce customers, they have their own supplier portal where the supplier comes and upload. So they say, hey, I already have it. Can you give me an API I can come and integrate? We give you that option. So in this journey, what we realized is when you build a product like a vendor product, you cannot have one solution because it won't fit you for any customer. We give you all possible solutions, what is possible for you. We have an OCR, yes. You upload an image, we will scan through OCR. You have a structured data, we will take you structured data. You want to come through FTP, we'll take you FTP. You want to come through API, we'll take you. So the idea here is to, when you have an ecosystem like this, every possible touch points you have to give it, and that's when customers will say each one's requirements are very different. How do we tailor make it? That's the idea of this one. So now the biggest challenge in vendor portal, right? First thing is, why will a vendor adopt, right? A portal like this. This vendor is supplying to, let's say, 100 customers. All 100 of them gives you different vendor portal, can this guy go and do? So we went and did a lot of market research to see why will a vendor actually adopt any platform like this to come and upload? He has some benefits, like for example, the payment status, we will show it to him, so he can easily see, and timely payment, he will know when it is coming. So we realized there are 3 reasons why a vendor will adopt a product like this. The number 1 reason is, if you can help him anywhere on revenue. That's his number 1 reason. Any way you can help him on revenue, he'll do it. The second one is, any way if you can help him on capital. That's the second. Third is his productivity. Hey, I improve my productivity, I can upload seamlessly, going through payment status, I'm showing you. That is last. So we realized, hey, just with productivity, if you go to the market, the adoption will not be great. So how do we do it? That's when we have our next product called invoice discounting. Invoice discounting is fundamentally 2 different flavors we have. One is, hey, Anchor can do it underwriting. With many of the banks we have integration with. We have Citibank, we have S-Bank, we have Axis, we have ICICI, DBS, multiple banks we have, which we can do integrations with. Underwriting happens. So when the vendor, when he sends a goods, he owes some money, the Anchor owes him. But just a 30 days credit cycle, if you can give him 20 days before, there are people who will give you 4% discount. Because the working capital is so tight, even 10 days before a payment is done. And many of the anchors actually have treasury funds. They say, I have no problem, I can actually give it. Some says, hey, this 4% is very good because I can do the underwriting with the bank and get you, so I get a margin also. That is the capability of this one. So now the vendor actually get a working capital better, but here the complete underwriting is done by the anchor. The other product we have is an I2F, invoice-based financing, which is purely from a vendor role. How do we do it? We have an integration with Bajaj Finance. In real-time integration, complete credit risk Bajaj Finance takes it. Here there is anchor is not even in the role. Based on the PO, both PO-based financing and vendor invoice-based financing, we will do the full check and the complete credit risk is taken by Bajaj Finance. And this platform in all these journey takes a couple of bills and comes out. But what is the power of this one is, now the vendor actually has a capital capability. Whether he can himself finance through the invoice that he has it, or he can finance through the invoice discounting from the anchor. The next product right now we are building is PO-based financing also. So now when capital and productivity comes in, now vendors are interested. Hey, let's talk about it. The other benefit we bring in is, since we have 4,000 plus enterprises, a good amount of overlap of vendors is always there. Let's say if I have Marico and HUL as mine, a good chunk of suppliers to these two actually have an overlap. Whether you say Tata Motors and Maruti, big chunk of overlap. So any industry, if you take it, the top 10, 3 to 4 is our customer. So there is a good amount of vendor overlap is there. That is an additional advantage that we have. This is another reason why we bring it. So I'll give you some information about what is our down integration capability. So in this journey of 2 years before, we never had a focus on integration. We focused on SaaS product and build it, and pretty much outsourced our entire integration to some SI system. Now we realized, hey, if you have to really make it successful, SIs cannot do a fabulous job on integration. So we have built a huge team in-house for complete integration, and only the burst which we cannot do, we actually today outsource. For example, SAP, we have a fabulous team from SAP for integrations of this one. So the reason for this is to make a customer successful, integration is very, very key. And the same thing which I want to tell you, one time when we take a product, for example, purchase register is needed for GST, max ITC and invoice discounting. Let's say this customer comes and buys us first time GST. Let's say January month he bought GST. We not only take what is needed for GST, we take the complete purchase register not only needed for GST, max ITC and invoice discounting fully at a first time integration. 3 months later the customer says, hey, I want to buy max ITC. We don't do any reintegration, nothing. Just turn on the license, he'll be accessed. After 5 months, he wants to take invoice discounting. Next second, actually, when the license is turned on. The benefit is the same thing what everybody was telling in the poll also. Single data source is very, very critical for actually to run through fully. That's one. One time you get a purchase register, the flow will go through fully after that for any of a product. Similarly for sales, that sales is what I was walking through. So this is something about a glimpse of our product, what we wanted to show. So one thing is like, people may not be able to connect, hey, you put one slide and you've been talking for 30 minutes, can I get a glimpse of it? We'll be more than happy if you reach out to any of us and we'll schedule a demo and we'll walk through the complete product real time in this one. Because when you have to walk through it, we need like 1.5 to 2 hours. We just want to give a sneak peek here and that way we can go further. This is about it. I'll take a pause. I know it's like past time. Any questions? One or two we can pick it up, otherwise we'll absolutely socialize in the dinner time. Any questions?
Again, any burning questions that you want to ask Parant right now, or Parant, you know, most of our leadership team is here, sales guys are here, they would be available.
One point, you talk about ERP integration all the things. My digital team don't allow ERP integration. Then how your products will work?
Okay, so two things you can do. So you can say, hey, I don't want to directly integrate from ERP. I have a policy decision on that. Perfectly fine. Now you say, you take the data, put it in your SFTP folder. I will come to SFTP and take it. That is the easiest option. Because, see, you can come to our UI. The moment you come to our UI, now the problem is the same thing I said, right? When you massage the data, you'll make a lot of mistakes. So the other thing what we suggest is, hey, you push to SFTP. Some folks, actually in the startup world, are slightly tech-savvy companies say, not only this, I can even push to S3 itself, object store itself in Amazon, and you grab it from there, you can't come to my ERP. Absolutely fine, that also works. Anything else?
On this clear capture, once you take purchase register into custody, whatever errors are happening in that purchase register, how do you reach back to client view of these?
Very good, very good. So, there are 3-4 things which will happen. First is, if it is an image which came in, we do an OCR scanning and we do a full validation of it. In this, what will happen, sometimes the OCR is not very clean, right? Sometimes you can't get it. So we don't depend on OCR alone. OCR is like a very small percentage. We go and enrich the data from lot of sources. For example, PO based enrichment, GL code based enrichment, invoice based enrichment, e-invoice based, e-way bill. There's a lot of enrichment that we run, which the OCR doesn't do it. We enrich the full data and bring it. Then there is a set of validations we run, which is, hey, these things are missing, which the anchor itself can do. But then there is a compliance related validation after the regular validation. For example, hey, invoice amount, the total amount is not matching yours. What do? We have to send it to the vendor. There is actually a proper communication in the email. The product itself will allow you. It'll take a full snapshot, attach it. The vendor contact list will be there because when you came into our product, you would have pushed the complete vendor master to us, which at a GST level, it will have the contact information. It will automatically push to that, send the email, and the full trail of email will come in. So when the vendor logs in on his product, he will see a notification. Hey, from this buyer, this is what it is rating. Can I fix it and resend it? So till now, email is there. In another 2 months, we are right now doing a WhatsApp integration for vendors because vendors are very much interested to say, hey, I don't check an email. I want to do WhatsApp. In fact, for invoice discounting, we have a full WhatsApp-based integration for the vendor. We don't even use email because all the small vendors, everybody do WhatsApp. So that's the way we go back and forth with them. Correct. So what do we do in any of the...
One more question. And the second question is that if you are paying more than $4, then interest has to be assigned. And TDS is there also.
Correct.
So how
can I suggest one thing, sir? We will take it offline. We will go through a detailed discussion because I think people are crossed. We are supposed to finish at 9. I'm really sorry about it. We overshot. We will offline, we will jump with it and go through the details, sir. So sorry about that. We are a little running behind schedule here. We'll catch up with you guys on.
We're going to take just 2 minutes of your time because we have a quick lucky draw. Yeah, we're doing a lucky draw. You have to earn the prize. Somebody's just going to get it. Yeah, that's how life is. So let me, in the interest of time. This is Mr. Umesh Holla. Congratulations, sir. Thank you all for making time. We are all going to be available, and let's have chats, not just about what you saw at the end, but other things also. I just want to reiterate and thank Mr. Manoj, Sandeep, Tohin, Praveen, Sharath, and Pratik for making it a wonderful event for us. Thank you all for coming. There are drinks and dinner and of course networking. Please join in and have a great evening. Thank you very much.